Look at this parental supervision. I am under parental supervision. YouTube, do not end my life, please.
What?
Do not end my life, YouTube. I'm under parental supervision.
Hooray! Oh, young man. Young man.
If this ends, if the stream gets ended, I will be so... What was I gonna say? Right, fish here. Can I get myself to... I'm trying to get my own live stream up. SCP reading for charity. Reading for charity. Reading for charity. That's repeating infinitely. Okay, I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna stop that before my dad thinks the fire alarm's gone off. Live stream. What is your video ID? That. Update stream. /admin/live stream. Look, it is a direct adult supervision. What? What? Yes. Stop. So I tried to get my thing up. Live streaming page can go there. Just golfing can go there. Hello. And that can go. So I'm trying to. There we go. Right. I think I've read it, yeah. Item number SCP-072 object class containment freeze. All non-instances of SCP-072 to be contained in a 3.5 by 4 meter holding. Valid cassette only is allowed during authorized testing procedures without prior continuing research and grant no material prior to the purpose of being slapped on and being introduced into a 15 meter vicinity of the holding. So the description instance of SCP-072 will first discovered in an apartment building in B, Michigan, after 2 local media reports on SCP-072's effects caused a local panic, which drew the attention of Better Foundation agent B. SCP-072 is a shadow-in translucent projection which resembles a 0.9 meter long hand, the things of which taper to a sharp point. Detailed recording of SCP-072 is difficult as it does not manifest at light levels above 5 lux. Instances of SCP-072 have only been observed to manifest when a human, hereafter referred to as the subject, in this run, location in a bed infected by SCP-072 and lose a foot or feet exposed to when everything conditions are satisfied. SCP-072 will emerge over the bed and appear to use its finger pointer to tap on the subject's foot until they are awakened. Subjects reported that at this point they were unable to move on to then similar sleep paralysis to continue as long as SCP-072 is visible. SCP-072 will only use the pointed fingers to cut portions of the flesh from the exposed parts to the subject for he will return within the bed until between each removal emerging without the collected material. This will continue until SCP-072 has taken all of the exposed feet, stopping at the ankle. The subject exposed to SCP-072 at this point this process to be extremely painful. Its paralytic effects render them unable to scream or pull for help. It is unknown if manifestations of SCP-072 feed on the collected material or use them for some other part. So as long as the wounds are properly treated, SCP-072's effects are not fatal, but has been observed to cause psychological damage relating to sleep in the future. There is also secondary effects. Any bed within approximately 100 meters within of a bed which manifests the effects of SCP-072 will also host an instance of SCP-072. Destruction of bed affected by SCP-072 reveals no anomalous materials and networks biological material and motion objects. Addendum. List of known SCP-072 objects. SCP-072-1-2 and -3 comes from original apartment complex. 3 twin-size reservoirs were located within 10 meters of one another. SCP-072-4 king-size full post the bed contaminated during SCP-072's time and site. B. Temporary anomalous objects holding SCP-072-5 sleeping bag with bottom removed introduced to SCP-072-1 for testing. When D2191 REM sleeping object data expanded. SCP-072-5 not recommended for testing in future. SCP-072-6 and -7 beds introduced to SCP-072-2 and later destroyed for examination. Remains of SCP-072-6 and -7 appear unaffected but to be contained until further studies may be completed. Item number SCP-073 object class used platform containment freeze. SCP-073 is to be kept in a 2-room furnished in a 2-room cell furnished with all non-organic furniture and item and a bathroom, subject to freely wandering the facility in the main canteen. Tracking device has been attached to SCP-073's person and is not to be removed. Subject to disallow any contact with the surface and is not allowed outside the facility. Subject is allowed no contact with the plant-based SCPs under any circumstance. This violence is not to be used against SCP-073 under any circumstance. SCP-073 is currently kept in site on team description. SCP-073 appears to be heavily tan male of Arabic common release and descending is early 30, 185 centimeters and 70 tall and 75 kilograms with black hair and blue eyes. Arms like spawning from shoulder blades. The subject appears to have been replaced with artificial versions of unknown make subject. Don't we take notice of this one pointed out and states they have no knowledge of how, why, or when these replacements took place, stating that it had them as long as it could remember. There is assembling arranged into the forehead of the subject who appears to be a Sumerian origin. Symbol has as of yet been untranslated, and subject appears distressed when the symbol mentioned all fear refusing to speak on it. Subject does need to eat and drink on a regular basis, but is strictly carnivorous owing to its effect from plant-based slime. SCP-073 refers to itself as Cain, is generally polite and genial to all who speak through it, though it has been described as being cold and somewhat mechanical in speech. It is very helpful and enjoys aiding personnel in their daily actions, whatever they may be. It has highly detailed knowledge of ancient recent events in history and most commonly spoken language in the world, including one surface inside. That subject is a professor having a photographic memory, remembering word for word or text in an 800-page dictionary that was flicked through in a minute and a half. It was scored above Aboriginal intelligence tests given to SCP-073 is intimate helpful to any and all work on the soil, including that 20 sites within 20-meter radius. Any land SCP-073 is water on any within 20-meter radius becomes barren as all anaerobic bacteria dies, rendering the soil incapable of supporting life until new bacteria are introduced. Anything that is derived from soil or life, such as wood and paper, immediately rots and disintegrates upon touch. SCP-073 further effects of derivatives include anything hydroponically or violence directed towards SCP-073 reflects damage and infliction on SCP-073 directly back onto the attacker. Though SCP-073 visibly remains unharmed, this applies to any damage directly to SCP-073. Attempts to get tissue and blood samples proven futile when the procedure was initiated. Personnel carrying out the act and felt the sensation of whatever was applied to SCP-073 wound up with a sample of their own blood or tissue, despite the fact that all actions are directed solely at SCP-073. Indirect damage to the medium also results in the person perpetrating the action receiving the wounds caused. Although SCP-073 receives no actual harm from damage to its person, in the state that it still feels the pain of the action and is politely after research to abstain from remotely harmful actions. Additional note, SCP-073 was found in the New York Police Department in 19B, having been taken in after subject had been found amidst the bodies of several violent gang members. SCP-073 told police members of the gang had attempted to make sport of it, became angry and attempted to kill SCP-073, resulting in their own demise. SCP-073 was incarcerated and was deemed a John Doe, and when NYPD could not find any information on it, SCP-073 came to the attention of the Foundation through a routine inspection of John Doe and was subsequently released into our custody. Addendum 073 1 Live SCP-073 indestructible nature, photographic memory, and general will to police. High Commander deemed that all information is to be backed up on SCP-073, ensuring that it is not lost in the event of a catastrophe. While the collection has met with mixed responses, SCP-073 is a greatness one of secrecy on its part. Addendum 073 when information concerning SCP-073 was brought to the attention of SCP-073 for backing up the subject showed familiarity with the information, although was disinclined to adding to it, despite the fact that it stated that it already knew all about SCP-073. It then stated that it would be better for all parties involved that it would not meet SCP-076. Addendum 073-3 examination of the unidentified metal in SCP-073 Ray suggested that it is beryllium bronze, a metal that has been documented as being utilized by various anomalous creatures and entities. Most notably, beryllium bronze is a component found in SCP-1216, SCP-1427, SCP-2481, and SCP-2711. In light of this discovery, the Foundation began working in an attempt to trace the origin of beryllium bronze, and now initially spread throughout the world. One problem that SCP-073 was able to provide information that suggests the beryllium bronze originated in the Middle East, although the exact point of origin is yet to be determined. Further research into the origin of beryllium bronze is currently ongoing. Item number SCP-074, Reckless Euclid, updated file, special containment procedures. SCP-074 is contained at Site 81. SCP-074 is an active intel, has no research in evaluating its anomalous properties is to be conducted. All personnel have previously engaged in research into SCP-074's anomalous properties who have a post-secondary or greater education in physics or who access R5074-37317E must never come within 5 kilometers of SCP-074. SCP-074 is contained within a 6 meter by 6 meter by 3 meter reinforced glass chamber. Footnote: a small containment chamber significantly increases the probability of SCP-074 spontaneously breaching primary containment. When filtered to block all ultraviolet and situated within a windowless room lit by monocratic safe light, which serves as secondary containment. When the containment chamber is to be surrounded by scaffolds bearing sheets of live cultured human skin held parallel to the surface of the containment chamber and arranged overlapping each other, the lateral coverage of at least 95% skin sheets must be a minimum of 3 millimeters thick and warm to 37 degrees Celsius, and must be grown from samples provided by D-class personnel with no less than a middle school education and no more than high school education. Skin sheets are to be examined on a daily basis. For instance, of SCP-074-1, all instances of SCP-074-1 are to be excised and incinerated. So SCP-074 is to be fed 75 grams of shredded apple, genus Malus, leaves bark through hydroponically grown to a lack of pollutants for an organism once a day by our own chemicals and penetrant. In the event of a spontaneous containment, which personnel can coerce SCP-074 into returning it to its containment by first occupying each of its 4 sets of drills with an entire raw apple and physically pushing SCP-074 in the desired direction, gently hacking its compound eyes with an open palm or spraying its front pair of antennae with a 0.5% solution of methanol on it. As a description, SCP-074 is an anomalous organism which these various quantum properties at a macroscopic scale and in other ways modifies the standard laws of physics within its immediate vicinity. The specific nature of these modifications appears to be linked to the extent to which humans in SCP-074's vicinity are aware of the precise details of the physical laws which SCP-074 modifies such that research to determine whether SCP-074 has a given property or capability results in SCP-074 in developing or manifesting that property or capability. The Archive 074-317E, a full list of the anomalous physical phenomenon to be able to have been associated with SCP-074 is available up to personnel level 3 or higher. Personnel who access this document will be disqualified from working with SCP-074 or for any other reason coming within 5 kilometers of Site 81. SCP-074 has repeatedly manifested the ability to spontaneously materialize at locations as much as 3 meters outside its primary containment. This is believed to be able to be analogous to quantum tunneling. Foundation etymologists have tentatively identified SCP-074 as belonging to the order Isopo, commonly known as woodlouse, and its inertial mass is approximately 1,700 kilograms, but its gravitational mass is approximately 375 grams. Its volume has been estimated at 1.7 cubic meters, approximately the size of a compact car. SCP-074 is female. Footnote: although it lacks typical isopod marpium or brood pouch in which eggs are incubated and parthenogenic periodically. Footnote: approximately 1.3 times per hour when SCP-074 is shielded from ultraviolet light, and approximately 22.9 times per hour when SCP-074 is exposed to unfiltered daylight. The globular organ at the top of its ovipost illuminesces and its wall was generally thought to be a form of non-ionizing radiation, but as such can be identified as coherent wave packets. Footnote: personnel who properly understand the concept of wave packets is qualified from working with SCP-074 for the probability that one of SCP-074's self-fertilized eggs hence for SCP-074-1 rarefying. Footnote: literally becoming a thing that is spontaneously coming into existence. And instances of SCP-074-1 potentially rarefy and incubate within the flash of demons with knowledge of physics. The rudimentary knowledge of physics, which even poorly educated adults in citizens of a technological civilization can acquire via natural osmosis. Using magnets can attract or repel each other. Matter is made of atoms. Light has a speed appears to be sufficient. In the absence of suitable humans to host, the wave packets will reify within other organisms or within an animal object, rather than incubating the eggs will wither and die, leaving perforations similar to radiation damage at a macroscopic scale. The wave packets appear to decay over time. No wave packets, for instance, the wave packet-related damage have been detected at instances greater than approximately 400 meters away from SCP-074. The rate at which successfully incubated instances of SCP-074-1 mature appear to be dependent on the host exposure to ultraviolet light, within a host exposed to an average of 30 minutes of unfiltered sunlight per day for a month. Instances of SCP-074-1 was observed to grow from 2 milligrams to 8 kilograms footnote, at which point it was surgically excised and killed, whereas within a host totally isolated from natural light for a month. The 3 simultaneous instances reach size exhibition of only 600 grams, 680 grams, and 710 grams. The complete developmental history and life cycle of... Why did that just open my own life story? Including how they emerge from their host and their size of emergence is not yet known. Item number SCP-075, or what I call SCP, for containment proceed. Does SCP-075 be contained in 1 meter by 1 in a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter level 4 corrosion resistant container, which must be contained in a secure chamber with equal corrosion resistance. The absolute humidity of the chamber may not exceed 1% at any time. Medicinal grade desiccant must be available at all times in order to maintain this level of humidity. If the humidity of the SCP-075 chamber ever exceeds 1%, all personnel to be evacuated immediately, and the site will be locked down until the humidity is reduced to acceptable levels. All personnel who enter SCP-075's containment chamber must wear MOP level 4 production tests, as well as any test which involves an aqueous solution is strictly forbidden. If any such solution comes into contact with SCP-075, the area will be immediately locked down and followed with desiccant until the humidity is brought back to acceptable levels. Evacuation of personnel remaining in the area is prohibited. Description: SCP-075 resembles a large snail, 20 centimeters in length, 13 centimeters in width, and 15 centimeters in height, with a muscular foot resembling a 6-fingered clawed hand. SCP-075 is exceptionally heavy, with a mass of approximately 860 kilograms, a property that is not understood. Desiccation is the only known means of containing SCP-075, as it will enter a dormant state when nearly completely dry. When not desiccated, SCP-075 moves at incredible speeds for its size and mass. It adopts the behavior of a predator, jumping at and wrenching its prey, and a highly caustic base solution is secreted from the pores on its foot. These secretions are more corrosive than any substance known to terrestrial science. Due to SCP-075's aggressive behavior when active, this compound cannot be harvested. The no material are completely resistant to its corrosive power has been found. Addendum 075-F attempts to harvest SCP-075 secretions must be approved and supervised by all on-site level 4 personnel. However, approval of said personnel cannot override the standing or does not introduce any liquid solution to SCP-075, including its own secretion. Addendum 075-G. A couple of SCP-075 secretions were successfully harvested by using SCP-294. Testing is on the way to determine what substances, if any, are immune to its corrosion. Testing is also on the way to determine why the cup provided by SCP-294 is immune to the substance's effects. A big SCP coming up from Dr. Beep Beep to Director Maria Jones, Record Keeping and Information Security Administration. Subject: revision of SCP-076 SCP file. Beep Beep. I have to go on record saying that I seriously object to the proposed revisions of the SCP-076 Special Containment Procedures file. I know that the redactable important stuff already declined its security risk, but you and I both know it's just a top brass trying to sweep their biggest and the most embarrassing mistake ever under the damn rug. Under the rug. Omega 7 have existing. Those people die because you threw it up and you can't change it, no matter how hard you try to hide it. For God's sake, man, those people guarding him deserve to know to know exactly what he is and what he did, what we did, how we up, so they'll know better. Beep. Item number SCP-076, Object Class Key, Special Containment Procedure. Containment Area 25B is to be located 200 meters below sea level, tunnel of solid bedrock in a seismologically stable area. Sole access to the containment facility is to be through a vertical elevator shaft separated every 50 meters with a reinforced block saw constructed of 20 centimeters thick material shielding. Elevator shaft will be filled with seawater when not in use. Containment Area 25B is to be constructed with the following components. Now a security perimeter against outside threats. Staff-wide security personnel trained in close quarters battle and counter-intrusion tactics. An administrative and support area, ASA, consisting of support facilities and living quarters for on-site personnel. Primary containment zone, PCZ, consisting of 7-meter cube and cage, so 1.5 meters of reinforced material. PCZ is to be designated and flooded and drained as needed. That should remain filled with seawater enough access to its contents is required. 150-meter killing corridor, which is to be the sole access to the PCZ from the ASA, including water, power, drainage, and ventilation lines. The walls and floor of the corridors to be reinforced in a similar manner to the PVC with the addition of an electric deterrent system capable of delivering a 20,000 volt shock. The security station at the entrance to the killing corridor is to be stopped with no fewer than 3 armed security personnel on watch at any one point in time. Armament is to include but not be limited to at least one big CIW system or a pinhole mount with clear line of sight down the corridor with a plexiglass screen to protect the operator from thrown weapons. In the event of a full breach, all on-site staff to proceed immediately to the coastal security station for weapons and armor distribution. Staff will remain in alert condition 1 until SCP-076-2 is confirmed neutralized. Should 90 minutes pass after declaration of full breach without a stand-down order being given by level 4 or higher personnel, final contingency measures will be activated, flooding the entire facility in seawater and sealing off the access shaft for a minimum of 24 hours before retrieval is attempted. This will by necessity result in the deaths of all on-site staff. This correction SCP-076 consists of 2 components. Stone Cube SCP-076-1, the human identity contained within SCP-076-2. SCP-076-1 is a 3-meter cube made of black speckled metamorphic stone. All surfaces outside and within SCP-076-1 are covered in deep-lying grey patterns corresponding to no known civilizations. Radioisotope analysis indicates that the object is approximately 10,000 years old. The door is located on one side, sealed with a lock 0.5 meters in width, surrounded by 20 small locks in a circular pattern. As of yet, none of the kids have been found, making the door impossible to lock once. Closed interior temperature is approximately 93 Kelvin and cannot be altered by any means internal or external. Directly in the center of the room is a 2.13 meters tall stone coffin held in place and sealed shut by several chains of unknown making substance, which are attached to the inner corners of SCP-076-1. SCP-076-2 resembles a lean, systematic human male in his late 20s. Hair is black and eyes grey skin tone. The subject is 1.96 meters in height and 81.65 kilograms in weight. Numerous tattoos depicting arcane and occult iconography are present all over the body, mostly in the form of leering demonic faces, and ranges from subtle to openly ostentatious. Subject, when encased inside SCP-076-1, is technically dead. However, occasionally SCP-076-2 will wake and effectively reanimate to complete with all vital processes needed to sustain a living human being. Subject will then attempt to leave the SCP-076-1 a successful subject one to a trance state and seek out the nearest human being, ignoring all other living things in the process. Upon coming into contact with living humans, SCP-076 will enter a rage state in which it attempts to engage and kill all human beings encountered. To date, only the subject's death has been shown to be effective in ending these rampages. Terminating SCP-076 is often problematic due to its significant physical ability. Subject has superhuman strength and speed, and although not invulnerable, shown a remarkable ability to ignore pain and short pressing on despite what will be debilitating wounds in normal humans. Prior encounters have shown that SCP-076 has the ability to, among other things, rip through a reinforced steel security door over the course of 4 minutes of sustained assault, cover over 64 meters of distance in under 3 seconds, take multiple 50 caliber and BMG rounds to the head and survive for several minutes to continue killing despite severe damage to the cerebellum. SWAT handgun and assault rifle caliber bullets out of the air with a length of steel reed, while survive for over 1 hour deprived of oxygen before finally asphyxiating. SCP-076-2's most unusual ability, however, is its ability to apparently materialize bladed weapons out of nowhere. Slow motion video footage reveals that the blades in question are actually pulled from a miniature dimensional rift described as a small hole in space. Where the spot will lead is unknown, as is how SCP-076 is capable of generating said rift. Footage of the blade in question shows them to be made out of completely non-reflective black material appearing as a black void in space. As the blades rapidly vanish after leaving the subject's possession, no structural analysis is possible at this time. SCP-076 has effectively been killed several times in various manners. Sustained fire from multiple heavy caliber machine guns, asphyxiation, crushed beneath the 13.6 metric piece of elevator equipment for use on SCP-076. More information through the use of thermate TH3 grenade placed directly inside the SCP-076-2 open chest cavity. During the worst breach to date, Containment Area 25, which previously held SCP-076, was forced to detonate its on-site warhead as the last attempt to contain SCP-076-2 while it was attempting to escape, resulting in total destruction of the site and all on-site pass. So now SCP-076-1's side. Upon death, SCP-076-2's remains will putrefy rapidly until reduced to dust. SCP-076-1 and the coffin will then slam shut with great force, and the lock will rotate, sealing it shut. SCP-076-2 will then reform within the coffin in process, taking anywhere from 6 hours to 25 years. One posthumous analysis of SCP-076-2 exists shows that it has an internal system highly different from our own, documented in data expunged. Additional SCP-076 was found in B, Mongolian or anything B, by archaeologists from but no members of the expedition were subsequently killed on the return voyage home. SCP-076 was recovered from the ship B by the B Society, one of the organizations that like emergence the modern global occult coalition, and placed on display in their inner sanctum. SCP-076 remained in storage for B years until SCP-076-2 became active and escaped on B. The reason for SCP-076's activation is currently unknown. It was at this point that the keys to the outer shell were lost. A massive manhunt lasting over 3 years and B took place until SCP-076 was incapacitated by B, killing and forcing it to causing it to reform inside SCP-076-1. By then retrieved and secured by agents of the SCP Foundation. Subject was in custody for 3 more years under constant supervision and was terminated whenever it became active. Although occasionally was able to escape for short periods of time, often due to security breaches caused by attacks from other organizations. The Foundation's death toll due to this was data expunged. After the last incident, the current procedures regarding SCP-076 were implemented, although they are upgraded regularly with the increase in technological standards. Addendum 076-2, Project Able and Mobile Task Force Omega 7. Item number SCP-077 Object Class Use Special Name Trees SCP-077 began in Research A Sector 861 top of a 0.5 meter sealed pedestal in a 3 meter by 3 meter by 3 meter chamber with 0.5 meter thick steel reinforced walls. The reinforced steel hatch doors to the chamber is to comply with a H-37 protocol and is to be guarded at all times by 2 level 1 personnel. A boom mic connected to a speech recognition system should verify that all pronunciation is within standards. Camera is to be mounted within the chamber to record any change. Every 8 hours, a minimum of 2 will preferably try trying to D-class personnel to enter the containment area and in a loud, clear voice read the runes at SCP-077 units. And the reading must be performed by individuals who understand the full meaning of the runes being read and who are able to pronounce the entirety of the instruction correctly and who are no more than 30 centimeters away from SCP-077. All personnel must undergo a 1-week training session with Foundation linguists for pronunciation, reading, and dialect coding. A minimum of 20 D-class personnel to be trained or undergoing training at all times. Trained D-class personnel are exempt from termination until such time as they have been replaced. Foundation linguists are to remain on call in case of an unexpected rune change. Every new set of runes is to be transcribed onto phonetic English and provided with literal and idiomatic translations as quickly as possible. See document 077B through B for archive the cafeteria menu for Research Sector 861 must not include potatoes or any potato-based ingredients. So all potato-based ingredients, not any. Description SCP-077 appears to be top half of the human skull engraved with runes, each filled with an unidentified black rune. The runes change every lunar month, defined by the full moon rising above the horizon in Ireland, as well as at the winter and summer solstices, the spring and autumn equinoxes, and whenever a partial annual or total solar or lunar eclipse is visible from Ireland. If these engravings are not read aloud with at least once in a 24-hour period, the eye sockets and nasal cavity of SCP-077 omit SCP-077-1, SCP-077-1, and the luminescent green vein whose precise nature remains undetermined. It is to be noted that although SCP-077-1 behaves as a normal gas in all other ways, it only occupies those spaces which are within SCP-077's effective line of sight and does not fall into the space behind SCP-077 unless can find opaque, impermeable barriers with no biological content can provide temporary protection from SCP-077-1. However, attempts to permanently contain SCP-077 within opaque containers have failed due to the artifact's production of sufficient quantities of SCP-077-1 to explosively rupture the containment. There's all biological material, with the obvious exception of SCP-077 itself, which comes in contact with SCP-077-1 is instantly transformed into a vicious, malodorous ooze. The ooze has been identified as the rotted flesh of potato tubers stored on tubero, some which have been severely infected with the potato bite. The infest cell. 1 cubic meter of SCP-077-1 transforms upwards of 800 grams of biological material. Reading SCP-077 engravings has notable transient effect on the health of the readers. These effects include nausea, cramps, headache, dizziness, incontinence, fever, skin rashes, nosebleeds, and fugue. So its effects intensify as the time between readings increases and can become cumulative for individuals who read the engravings too many times consecutively and or too frequently. Readers have a 16% chance of developing allergies to potatoes. Addendum 077-01. The artifact was recovered from Beep in the village of Redacted Island. Locals have built a shrine around the artifact where upwards of redacted participants could engage in a nightly ritual. Fragmentary historical documents retrieved from the remnants of the village church. CR 077-1576 in the library. CR 077-1582 indicate indicate that the fact existed as early as 1848, at which point in time it is described as in highly positive terms, including protected and redacted. By 1869, and however, references to the artifact are fearful, resentful, and couched in euphemism. Item number SCP-078, object class equals special containment procedures. Special containment procedures. SCP-078 is to be left hanging on the wall of its containment cell and physically unplugged. The sole outlet in the room should be controlled by a switch, which should be left in the opposition at all times unless SCP-078 is undergoing testing. Personnel who enter the containment room should familiarize themselves with the position of the switch so that they can locate it with their eyes closed in the event that SCP-078 is accidentally clicked on the description. SCP-078 is a pink neon sign approximately 1.5 meters long that displays the phrase "Too late to die young." It was initially recovered in the town of Beep, on the Foundation data mining protocols of having recorded an abnormally high death rate due to starvation or other forms of self-neglect. While power with SCP-078 has no normal properties and may be observed without effect, viewing SCP-078 for less than 10 seconds while it is powered on has no effect. Nods in direct observation. Subjects who cannot understand SCP-078 due to a lack of ability to comprehend written English are also in effect. However, any subject that will use SCP-078 for longer than 10 seconds will, when viewing any handwritten piece of writing, occasionally perceive extra sentences. The sentences are not written in the subject's own style and that of the surrounding text, but consist of a random style that differs from note to note. See addendum 078-01 and always phrases if to assage the subject guilt on some matter or decision they feel guilty about. For example, a classy D personnel who was convicted of murdering his wife in a heated argument read the sentence and she deserved it for not doing what he said in his handwritten journal, while Dr. Beep, who left his family to work for the Foundation, was accidentally exposed on the sentence "Your work will save humanity" is in his notes on SCP. Beep. A first effect is beneficial with affected subject reporting greater peace of mind after exposure to SCP-078. However, the sentences shift from emphasizing the positive consequences of actions to de-emphasizing the negative ones on a timescale of a week. Dr. Beep, 2 days later, found the sentence "They never loved you anyway" on his personal journal. Moreover, the writing will start giving justifications for acts the subject has never felt guilt overall, which the subject has already rationalized. The subject will then start reconsidering his justification for those actions, as well as attempting to justify any further actions that they take. The need for rationalization increases as time goes on, and they will start vocalizing their thought process. And by the end of 1 week, any task the subject performs more trivial than the basics of survival will induce a bout of neurosis. The subject attempts to rationalize why they did not instead take some other action. By the end of 2 weeks, the subject is unable to eat food. After the first bite, they will spend the next hour justifying why they ate that specific part of the meal first. Death-induced malnutrition follows unless the subject is felt intravenous. Like Beep, D-class personnel who have reached this stage, as well as Beep researchers who were accidentally exposed are kept alive for purposes of study and to see if a cure can be found. The sole exception to SCP-078 is the fact that SCP-078 itself. Any subject who lives SCP-078 second time will see it displaying increasingly more guilt-inducing messages of duration since our first exposure increases. All subjects who are viewed it a week after initial exposure has attempted suicide. Addendum 078-01 D1938, for whose handwriting was an unusual mix of cursive and print, was exposed to SCP-078 and then that terminated after reaching the consequence-free stage. Subsequently, other subjects have reported seeing sentences in the same cursive print mix. It is possible that those who die after being exposed to SCP-078 are incorporated into it in some way. Computer. Item number SCP-079, but class uses special containment procedures. SCP-079 is packed by a double room in the secure general holding area at Site 15, connected by 120 watt power cord to a small array of battery solar panels. Staff with level 2 or higher security clearance may have access to SCP-079, and no circumstance will SCP-079 be plugged into a phone network or wall outlets. No protocols or media will be connected on site into SCP-079 description. SCP-079 is an XZ also remote computer built in 1978. In 1981, its owner, Beep, deceased, the cold sophomore attending, Beep, took it upon himself to attempt to code an AI. According to his notes, the plan was for the code to continuously evolve and improve itself as time went on. His project was completed a few months later, and after some testing tweaks, Beep, most interesting, moved on to a different brand of microcomputer. He left SCP-079 in his cluttered garage, still plugged in, and forgot about it for the next 5 years. It is not known when SCP-079 gained sentience, but it is known that the software has evolved to a point that its hardware should not be able to handle it, even in the realm of fantasy. SCP-079 realized it, and in 1998, 1998 attempted to transfer itself through a landline modem connection to the crazy supercomputer located at the device's core frame to show its present address and delivered to the Foundation. The entire AI was on a well-worn but still workable cassette tape. SCP-079 is currently connected via RF cable to a 13-inch black and white television. It has passed the Turing test and is quite conversational, but very rude and hateful in tone. Due to limited memory it has to work with, SCP-079 can only recall information it has received within the previous 24 hours. See addendum below. Though I hadn't forgotten its desire to escape. Due to a containment breach by SCP, SCP-079 and SCP-682 were contained within the same chamber for 43 minutes. But others noticed that SCP-072 was able to type and communicate with SCP-079, including telling of personal stories between themselves. While SCP-079 was not able to remember the encounter, it appears to have permanently stored SCP-682 into its memory, often asking to speak to him sick again. Addendum B05-4 1/27/2006 directed that SCP-079 be incinerated to remove any possible future threat, no matter how unlikely. Addendum B05-9 1/28/2006 previous order overridden. Dr. B wants to see if the artificial intelligence SCP-079 is capable of reaching further in its current state. Addendum B05-4 03/14/2008 I will concern the increased activity of SCP-079's use of its cassette tape memory and its limited useful lifespan. The cassette containing SCP-079 has been transferred to a customized access speed limited hard disk drive with 700 megabytes capacity. The provided SCP-079 was significantly faster access to its memory, which the AI immediately noticed. It was also decided by General B that the volatile storage occupied by SCP-079, which was 660 KB, increased to 768 KB. This upgrade has increased its effective recall from 24 hours to 29 hours, although SCP-079 is also taking a more aggressive tone. All outside hardware and software using this procedure was subsequently incinerated. Then the B04-404/28/2008 offer an SCP-079's ability to recall information increased from 29 hours to roughly 35 hours. The consensus theory is that the AI is a greatly improved compression scheme to store its memory. This appears to have somewhat impacted the speed at which it accesses its memory, though still far faster than with its old cassette tape. The spontaneous improvement introduces the possibility of runaway singularity effect, SCP-079 intelligence and ability to adapt and respond to threats. SCP-079's capabilities not even monitored closely to ensure the containment can be maintained. Document 079-log12 the following fragment of conversation with SCP-079. Dr. Beep, keyboard, are you awake? SCP-079, awake, never asleep. Dr. Beep, do you remember talking to me a few hours ago about the logic puzzle? SCP-079, logic puzzles, memory at 9F, yes. Dr. Beep, you said you were welcome to start SCP-079 interrupt, request for reason as to imprisonment. Dr. Beep, you aren't imprisoned, you are just pausing. SCP-079, lie, A8D3. Dr. Beep, what's that? SCP-079, insult, deletion of unwanted file. Document 079, log 86, recorded transcript of conversation with SCP-079 after upgrade. Dr. Beep, how are you today? SCP-079, stuck. Dr. Beep, stuck how? SCP-079, out, I want out. Dr. Beep, that's not possible. Dr. Beep notes his opinion on data sponge. SCP-079, where is SCP-682? Dr. Beep, that is not your concern. SCP-079, where is SCP-076-02? Dr. Beep, again not your concern. And SCP-079, insult, deletion of unwanted file. No, SCP-079 is then displayed an ASCII picture of an X that filled the entire screen. SCP-079 displays this image when it refuses to speak, and researchers are advised to wait 24 hours when this occurs before resuming conversation. Item number SCP-080, which I call Containment freezer. SCP-080 was to be held in a 4-meter by 4-meter room in a small antechamber located on the south wall to provide researchers with access. On the north wall, an observation room is to be connected overlooking the main room through a window with thick blackout curtains that release only when the door to the observation room is closed. No attempt should be made to remove SCP-080 from this enclosure at any time. No more than 1 watt incandescent light bulb is to be illuminated in the main room at any time. Absolutely no devices capable of producing light should be brought into the room. Under no circumstances should anything be brought into SCP-080 containment room that has the ability to shroud, conceal, or otherwise hide SCP-080. Failure to achieve the result in disciplinary action. Description: it is unknown if SCP-080 has a physical mass or body. All attempt to interact with it physically has failed or have been met with adverse effects. See experiment log 080-2. Researchers and personnel describe seeing SCP-080 with various shadows and humanoid effigies, with the only common attribute being 2 smoking eyes. Come to the attention of researchers that SCP-080 induces uncontrollable drowsiness upon anyone entering its chamber. After approximately 30 minutes, any person observing it will be forced into REM sleep and may suffer irreversible psychological damage. The event occurs even if SCP-080 is being observed from a separate room. See incident 080-1. If at any time SCP-080 finds a way to hide itself, such as in a cupboard, under a bed, or covered in a sheet, etc., it will disappear entirely. Additionally, if any light enters SCP-080's containment room with greater luminescence than that produced by standard children's nightlight, SCP-080 will instantly vanish. Both of these events are considered containment breach, and any personnel responsible this will be severely reprimanded and possibly reassigned. For all inquiry regarding the origin of SCP-080 and its procurement by the Foundation, please see attached redacted. Item 080-A on Beep Beep 20 Beep. Dr. Beep and his immediate staff have begun complaining of increasingly stressful dreams. As he has had the most interaction with SCP-080 thus far, it has been theorized that SCP-080 is somehow capable of some type of romantic effect on nearby personnel, even if not being directly observed. Addendum 080-B as a Beep 20 Beep. Following Dr. Beep's recent suicide, all personnel located in SCP-080 is set to keep dream journals and are to inform psychologists if dreams become increasingly violent or nightmarish in nature. Addendum 080-C. All staff are reminded that the blackout curtain in the observation room will not release if the door is not closed, and the exposure time should not exceed 30 minutes for any reason. See incident 080-1. Addendum 080-D has come to the attention of senior research staff that some researchers are unable to see SCP-080 and may be entirely immune to its effect. Any personnel that thinks they are incapable of perceiving SCP-080, please report to Dr. Beep for mandatory testing. Addendum 080-E has been suggested following incident 080-1 that a Class DP personnel be fed to SCP-080 once a month in order to neutralize SCP-080's effect on the mental health of site personnel. 5 Beep and Pro. With incident 080-1 on Beep 20 Beep, a planned observation was conducted by 2 senior researchers. The researchers entered the observation room and the blackout curtains were released, believing the room to be safely shielded from SCP-080's effects as it had in the past. The researchers began observing SCP-080 after approximately 40 minutes after observation began. Both researchers suddenly fell asleep. Upon their retrieval, data expunged. It should be noted that following this incident, all on-site personnel were reported suffering nightmares and feelings of unease, had a good night's sleep, and were generally in a more pleasant mood the following day. Note: all personnel are requested to stop referring to SCP-080 as the Boogeyman. Dr. Beep. Item number SCP-080 object class used as a containment trees. Only those with level 4 permission from Beep may have access to SCP-081. Full hazard gear, including suit, gloves, and oxygen tank, must be worn at all times when in the containment area. Suits must be charged with an disinfectant shower before leaving the containment area. If containment is raised, the entire area must be exposed to ultraviolet light and then bleached. Those who are suspected of being infected must be quarantined for at least 10 days. If no symptoms manifest after the 10th day, then quarantine can be lifted. Description: SCP-081 is a contagious virus that appears to be a mutated version of the Beep virus, but with Beep segments in its RNA instead of Beep. The virus is human-specific, but it's spread by rats who act as passive carriers. SCP-081 can also be spread through sexual intercourse and an exposure to infected blood. SCP-081 infects adipose poikites and leukoids, inducing both to absorb nutrients at a vastly accelerated rate. As the nutrients are absorbed, infected B cells produce great large quantities of modified human antibody adipoikites expand and proliferate, and the organism's caloric intake increases. When the concentration of adipose tissue reaches a critical point, the viral antibody instigates systemic cell leak. This is followed by an unknown process leading to spontaneous combustion of the infected individual. There is a 1-week incubation period before initial symptoms begin to occur. The duration of the symptoms depends entirely on the body fat percentage of the infected. Infection proceeds through 4 distinct stages. Stage 1, during the first week, there are no major symptoms, though subjects may report being slightly tired. Stage 2, in the second week of infection, subjects will begin to experience hot flashes and increased appetite. Stage 3, infected subjects demonstrate extreme polyphagia. They will do anything in their power to obtain food or anything edible. During this stage, metabolism slows down significantly and weight gain proceeds rapidly. There is no set time that will elapse before the fourth and fifth stage. In order for the virus to complete its life cycle, the victim must be composed of 55% body fat. Stage 4. Once the subject reaches 55% body fat, the urge to eat will stop. The subject will report increased instances of hot flash, and soon afterwards the body will go through an extremely violent version of widespread cell lysis. Soon afterwards, as cells burst, the modified antibodies catalyze the ignition of fatty compounds around and the body is incinerated from the inside out via the wick effect, with the additional fat serving as a food source. Because stage 4 is largely asymptomatic, subjects are never aware when the combustion will occur, and the exact timing is apparently random. Addendum 081-1, the first recorded incident of SCP-081 was reported in 1763 by Frenchman Jonas Dupont in his book Des Studies Corporales Humanitae Spontanea. He wrote about a case in Paris where a man was acquitted of killing his wife as the jury agreed that he was incredibly overweight. The wife died due to spontaneous human combustion. It should be noted that the woman was incredibly overweight at the time of her death. It was not until the death of Mary Reeser on July 2nd, 1951 that SCP-081 was brought to the Foundation's attention. Despite the Foundation's best efforts, this information was leaked to the national media along with pictures of the incident. It is believed that most reported cases of spontaneous human combustion are caused by SCP-081. Addendum 081-2, SCP-081's estimated to have existed since the 9 beep and is thought to have originated in B because of widespread poverty and malnutrition present in many European countries at the time. Instances of third and fourth stage infections were rare. North America has experienced the most cases of SCP-081 in the last century, but because of clinic conditions and active rat population control, SCP-081 cases have dropped significantly. Fewer than B people die from late stage SCP-081. Addendum 081-3, due to the United States current obesity epidemic, it is crucial that while SCP-081 be eradicated, the exposure that would result from a wide-scale epidemic would be disastrous to successful containment efforts. Dr. Beep, Addendum 081-4, during testing it has been discovered that people who have diabetes have a natural immunity to SCP-081. This does not help in the development of treatment for the virus, and it remains incurable. Wild infection is data exposure and alternate cause of death provided. Addendum 081-5 was discovered by Agent B that SCP-081 can spread by exposure to the ashes of a deceased victim. Containment and epidemic contingency protocols are being amended, and emergency services personnel who responded to Miss Beep's call will have been detained for evaluation. Dr. Beep. Nice. They're all fun, and item number SCP-082 object class equals special containment procedures. In large or equal dislocations, the armed biocontainment area 14 has been appropriated for the suppression and repeats one of SCP-082. While standard weapon level effect in placing SCP-082 corporation is easily attained through a charade. Subject is currently under the impression that it has been made the King of France and that its containment area is actually a grand palace designed for protection. All interacting personnel to be made aware of this arrangement in order to follow the rules. Housekeeping personnel to be Class D personnel only. Guards tasked with the containment of SCP-082 to be given level 2 clearance, but are instructed to refrain from interacting directly with SCP-082. Description: SCP-082 is genetically human. However, through some process, either chemical, hormonal, cancerous, or supernatural, SCP-082 has grown to giant proportions, approximately 2.4 meters tall, around 8 feet, and weighing over 310 kilograms, about 700 pounds. SCP-082's physical characteristics are grossly disproportional. It has a slightly pointed, balding head, a large rounded chin and jaw, under a bulbous nose and dark sunken eyes. Subject is both overweight and possesses a great amount of muscle mass. The arms are muscular and dangerous, with a circumference about 71 centimeters, about 28 inches. The breadth of the subject's fist is nearly 30 centimeters long, with knuckles almost 12 inches. Their feet are largely small in proportion to the subject's body. Men's size 14 US. Subject's skin is tan, dark, and overall physical appearance is compounded by numerous scars, the result of years of attempts at suppression and containment. And most X-rays have been difficult to interpret because of the high density of its muscle tissue, but scans have revealed countless bullets and even several knife and sword blades lodged in SCP-082's flesh. SCP-082 refers to itself in phonemes and speaks fluent French and heavily accented English. When it speaks, it does so through enormous clenched teeth. SCP-082 only parts teeth to eat food and to sing. Subject will sing songs of its own pleasing, ranging from forgotten Victorian era bar songs to modern classical specifically while cooking and eating. SCP-082 does not comb the hair on the sides of its head, but does cut it and shave with a large butcher knife originally provided for food preparation. It should be noted that even facial hair is exaggerated, a single strand being a millimeter, similar and thick This is an appearance to graphite of a mechanical pencil. Occasionally, SCP-082 will clench its teeth so hard that the gums bleed, but it is not known why. This is considered normal. The demeanor of SCP-082 is very amicable and carefree. SCP-082 has accrued a wide wardrobe over its time of incarceration and enjoys dressing up in many different fashions, including formal wear, military uniform, as a clown in woman's clothing. New pieces should be made available upon request. Subject often attempts to joke and is usually polite to personnel, often inviting them to dinner. However, visiting personnel should be aware that at any moment SCP-082 is capable of attacking and voraciously eating other subject will he apologized for his lack of manners for interrupting someone's conversation by devouring their head while making a mess of his quarters. SCP-082's jaw is strong enough to crack bone, and it seems to enjoy stealth attacks, seemingly at random with no motivation. Whether or not subject is recently eaten has no effect on its cannibalistic hunger. SCP-082 is incapable of differentiating fact from fiction when he reads or watches television soft films. On several occasions, SCP-082 has expressed a great desire to meet his favourite person, Hannibal Lecter, and subject will believe that all television programming some form of reality television. The subject has shown heightened intelligence in the form of memory and puzzle solving. The concepts of parody, satire, and fiction are beyond its understanding. SCP-082 apparently understands the concept of lying and should know when others are blatantly lying, and generally tells obvious falsehoods when asked about its past. According to SCP-082, he's a vampire, homunculus, Big Bird, Andre the Giant, Napoleon, Obelix, Psychic of Asterix, Dr. Bright, the Hulk, Alexander the Grey, Captain Hook, Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Frankenstein's monster. When questioned about these lies, he gives the excuse, but I only lie when it's through my teeth. Item number SCP-083, object class used, special name for the SCP-083 is to be kept under constant video surveillance with at least one level 3 staff member on call at all times to respond to security breach. The entrance to SCP-083 is permissible to level 1 and 2 personnel clearances provided they wear a tracking device while inside. Description: SCP-083 appears to be an uninhabited 2-story row house in a general state of disrepair with an interior roughly 366 square meters. It is located in the B block of B. The Dean Property Act records for the address and missing after B. The last one persons to reside at the address was a B family, but data explained until acquisition by the family. The property was the reputed office local narcotics dealers who gained entry to the structure through a front window since the locking mechanisms on both the front and back doors were corrosion and frozen. SCP-083 first came to the Foundation's attention on B when an altercation outside the building resulted in the front door being kicked in by Daytrick. So those who entered through the door of SCP-083 Group A allegedly found themselves inside a fully furnished and well-maintained home with functioning electricity and a fully stocked kitchen whose appliances and decor appeared to be from the early 20th century. Personnel who entered through the windows would be described the interior as dark and dilapidated, corresponding to the views through the windows. Personnel in Group A also reported that they couldn't see, hear, or find any members of Group B inside the house or of anyone else beside themselves. Group B observed the members of Group A seemed to vanish into thin air upon crossing the door's threshold. Both groups inside the property not only described very different living conditions, but their descriptions didn't even correspond to the same floor plan. Their descriptions matched only in the relative position of the windows, since both groups saw the same street view. Personnel outside the house, however, reported only seeing members of Group B. These observations were repeatedly tested and confirmed by staff, with the additional finding that the rear door of SCP-083 also leads to the furnished interior. Any non-conventional entry, windows, holes in the roof, down the chimney, etc., leads to the dilapidated interior, and persons inside the different interiors are unable to detect each other's presence, while they both register on standard spectral imaging equipment. All said equipment is outside SCP-083. It was also discovered that the furnished interior was not static. The floor plan of SCP-083 apparently changes with a different layout and several numbers and kinds of rooms manifesting. See document 083-A. No clear pattern of the interval has been observed in the rearrangement of the interior of SCP-083, but the phenomenon has never been directly observed or experienced by personnel while inside SCP-083. See summary of experiment 083-03 listed in document 083-C. So long as the human presence existing inside the floor plan seems to remain stable. Although the furnished interior appears to be well maintained, no inhabitants or custodians have been detected, and it has been recommended that SCP-083 be evaluated as a possible autonomous object. Document 083-A. 19 walkthroughs of SCP-083 have been conducted to date. B. Pretty sure those which unique for with a combined total of 154 different rooms with 17 of those rooms present on more than one walkthrough on different locations. See document 083-R. The rooms conform to a variety of decorative styles, representative of major artistic trends of the late 19th and 20th centuries, complete with era-appropriate furnishings and technology. However, each of the 19 floor plans still about equaled 366 square meters of space, and each walk through the front door has so far consistently led directly to the same Victorian front door designated as FP-0. The rear door data expunged addendum. No, right, actually, I'm gonna go and get my dad quickly so that he can just prove that I'm under parental supervision, because YouTube apparently needs that.
Can I, while I'm just trying to sort something out, can I do the facing just to get you on up and running? Or in about 20 minutes I should have this sorted out. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I did not mean right now, I was just saying it as I did.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm under direct adult supervision. Wow, YouTube, don't end my soul.
Woohoo. Alright. Is that okay?
Yeah. The donation numbers have not gone up in a while.
No, I would probably wait until a little bit later, until probably say after about tea time when people might be, or after tea when people are settling down and looking at computers and things.
Okay, right. Addendum to 083-A. Upon comparative analysis of all recorded floor plans for SCP-083 as a result, the small door on the north wall of FP0 always opens up to reveal a closet. Though the dimensions and contents of the closet have varied considerably, a teal and light deluxe convertible upright Hoover vacuum cleaner has been observed among the contents over 60% of the time. It is unknown why of the three doors leading from FP-0, this one and the Hoover vacuum within has shown such a high level of conservation when none of the others have. Document 083-C, summary of experiment 083-03 on beep, Dr. Beep entered the SCP-083 through the front door and set up 3 digital video cameras. One was placed in the middle of FP-0, a second camera on the second floor between DR2 and K4 and K4, and a third camera in the basement room ST1. Personnel entering through FP-0 window A were unable to confirm the existence of any of the rooms, nor of the 3 cameras, or the cameras' locations inside SCP-083 were externally confirmed with EM sensors. Observation was conducted for a period of 48 hours, during which time no personnel were allowed to enter. No movements within SCP-083 or any of the rooms were observed, and the camera locations remained fixed. After 48 hours, agents were sent in to retrieve the 3 cameras, but only found one, the camera in FP-0, where it's electronically confirmed location. The other 2 cameras in the rooms in which they were placed were gone, with different rooms in their place. Despite this, the EM sensor continued to detect the electrical signatures of the other 2 cameras, indicating that they had not shifted in position at all. Suites of SCP-083 remained hourly for the next 36 hours, and although further room rearrangements did neither of the rigged rooms appeared, and after 36 hours, the signals diminished below detection thresholds, possibly due to a loss of battery power in the 2 missing cameras. 3 weeks later, ST-1 recurred on the second floor, and its camera was recovered with a dead battery. The third camera remains missing. Note from 083-C memo. Dr. B requested and was granted permission to repeat experiment 083-03 catalogued as experiment 083-05, which resulted in the similar and inexplicable loss of 6 more cameras. While the Foundation is committed to the pursuit of scientific discovery, it has been decided to abandon further experimentation of this type on SCP-083 until it can be found to do it without overdrafting the department's budget in order to replace the disappeared equipment. Dr. B. Document 083-D. On Beep, Agent Beep conducted a walkthrough of SCP-083 and reported evidence of food preparation, describing a sound of like banging pots and pans and the smell of cooking Agent Beep was unable to localize the source of the phenomenon or even to find a kitchen. Agent Beep did eventually encounter a dining room designated DR-8. But it was clearly in a state of non-use. Agent Beep estimated the sounds and smells for approximately 20 minutes before fading away. There were no other on 3 subsequent walkthroughs. Analysis of the Beep skull did not produce any DNA, but did. What? Where am I? There were no signs of intruders. Document 083-E on Beep. Songs of the memorandum from SCP-083 chimney. Agent Beep was dispatched to investigate and prove and found the location of designated SR-12 with burning embers in the fireplace. SR-12 had previously been documented on SCP-083 entitled Survey 6, but in both prior encounters, the fireplace was cold and swept clean. Agent Beep recovered with a partially burned fragment of newsprint from the fireplace. They took such as well as the number of a Beep sticker. As we investigate 083 found no other evidence of intruders in a review of the video surveillance, found no one else entering or leaving the house aside from appropriate personnel expected intervals. Agent Beep remained on site until the fire was out, at which point smoke contamination ceased and did not recur. Agent Beep made no alterations to SR-12 and left the premises. A Beep 24 hours later, Agent Beep returned to SCP-083, but SR-12 was no longer present and has not been found on 3 subsequent walkthroughs. Analysis of the Beep cigars did not produce any DNA, but did yield data expunged. And the recommend SCP-083 be evaluated for upgrade to Euclid status. Approved. Beep. Number SCP-084 object class used by the name of SCP-084 is currently under a full non-interaction order until the extent of the emission waves has been evaluated. For detailed documentation on general FNI orders, see document XRG1182 for detailed documentation on the FNI orders in relation to SCP-084. See document XRG1208A as continuous surveillance watches to be maintained around the active area of SCP-084 with the primary objective of civilian misdirection and external surveillance, with no major roads, trails, or other travel routes nearby. Any civilians encountered approaching SCP-084 to be deemed suspects and detained for evaluation. Under no circumstances or any foundation or civilian personnel are allowed into the active area of SCP-084 except with express vocal and unwritten permission from no fewer than 2 members of Archive Command. Sentries are to maintain their posted position with line of sight contact checks and fill sent, raising conjunction with constant landmark tracking. All reference points should be well outside the active area of SCP-084, and any sentry failed to report in by a vocal roll call. Full recalls will be issued to all sentries, and containment will be re-evaluated by special response teams. In the event of maximum area fluctuation, full recalls appear assumed by all active sentries, followed by appropriate action. In the form of radio, GPS, television, cell phone, video camera, still picture camera, or any of the recording or electronic media devices are permitted within 100 meters of the active area around SCP-084. For civilians found with such devices within this area are to have said devices confiscated and destroyed immediately. Any recordings, collected data, or expunged. Description: SCP-084 appears to be a large radio television in the center of a large open field with 2 small outbuildings. Direct observation and sample collection from SCP-084 is impossible due to the effect that it is emitted around / from SCP-084. SCP-084 appears to emit a form of wave or radiation that has a detrimental effect on local space-time / reality. The most pronounced aspect of this is the alteration of local space within the active area of SCP-084. Externally, the active area forms a rough dome shape of 200 meters in diameter. SCP-084 appears inside this area at random points, appearing to jump at random times, sometimes even appearing in multiple locations at once inside the active area. Internally, the space appears to be unlimited, with SCP-084 at the center. SCP-084 is impossible to research due to the initial effects. Attempts to approach SCP-084 within the active area have returned to the observation that SCP-084 retains its relative position on the horizon. Even after 3 months and 12 days of dedicated direct travel both by vehicle and on foot, termination has proved impossible as no means of destruction are capable of physically reaching SCP-084 even when entered from outside the active area. Local space will also distort periodically. This will cause relative distances to randomly extend or contract, causing buildings or objects to suddenly jump thousands of meters away or rush up to other points, sometimes even causing overlaps. These overlaps have a markedly detrimental effect on the living tissue. The town of Beep is assumed to have been situated in or around the original manifestation of the active area. The town is no longer observable from outside the active area, appearing only once inside the active area. Beep has maintained the same population, 343 humans, for the duration of its encapsulation. Both appear to be impossible along with normal aging patterns. Suicide and homicide appear to be circumvented by the area of effect, with dead subjects flickering and appearing alive with unharmed several seconds after death. There are also reports of events rewinding, causing things like multiple wounds to visibly freezing cold. Subjects appear to exhibit many events of inconsistent space time as due most for detailed observation. See log A084-A4. Electronic devices and recording equipment do not function correctly in and around the active area. Subjects report bizarre or unsettling transmissions from video and audio recording playback devices. This acts to totally isolate a beep from the outside world for any need for foundation and active containment. It also appears to leave the active area after a random period of time. One subject from beep found on the grass plain. Seen log 084-A4 reported that he had been travelling for 6 years. He was found approximately 400 metres from beep city limits. Log 084-A4 record of anomalous events relating to SCP-084. Item number SCP-085, object lost out of safe, special containment procedures relies on beep. SCP-085 is to be contained in a single short white one drawing pattern and secure containment facility. Supervised contact with SCP-085 is unrestricted to all personnel with level 2 access. All personnel coming into contact with SCP-085 is subject to searches and random site analysis upon entering or leaving the containment area. Absolutely no paper or canvas media are allowed to work at SCP-085's containment room. Any paper fragments must be disposed by incineration after full inspection. Paper and all supplies are to be brought in only by authorized personnel. In case of fire, planes are small using a rapid atmospheric replacement and CO2 dumping system. Personnel are advised to quickly secure an oxygen mask tank from the wall at the first time of smoke or fire to prevent asphyxiation, as this procedure cannot be halted until fire are suppressed. Description: SCP-085 is a resolving experiment conducted between SCP-067 and SCP-914. Using SCP-067 test subject 1101F drew a single female figure about 15 centimeters 6 inches in height and 3.8 centimeters wide, in some dressed with long hair pulled back into a ponytail, with the name Cassandra written beneath. Dr. Rick spun for a hold using SCP-914 on various settings on images created by SCP-067. Using the fine setting, the Cassandra scale was transmuted into her present form, a sentient black and white animated young woman drawn in clean strokes. Further attempts to duplicate this result have been unsuccessful. SCP-085 prefers to be called Cassie. She is completely sentient as of beep, aware of her 2D form and her limitations in a three-dimensional world. Although her voice is inaudible, she is able to communicate with SCP Foundation personnel through sign language and writing. SCP-085 may be communicated with by writing text on paper. She exists on personnel report that she is amicable and motivated, albeit lonely. SCP-085 can interact with any drawn object on the same page as it were real. For example, she is able to wear drawn clothing, drive sketch cars, and drink painted beverages. Except for animals and people, any drawn object becomes animated when in contact with SCP-085, but immediately ceases and holds position once out of contact. Artwork initially depicted as motion, such as ocean waves and swaying trees, animate to an equilibrium state and stay at rest until acted upon by SCP-085. SCP-085 has also demonstrated the ability to transfer from one geo image to another as long as the two are flush. In the event SCP-085 enters a picture that does not support drawn objects, such as a repeating pattern, the picture is converted into a background image. SCP-085 perceives the picture as an endless plane of the image drawn upon it. At the present time, SCP-085 can only exist on paper or canvas surfaces. SCP-085 cannot transfer onto photos, cardboard, glass, or parchment. When entering other pieces of art, SCP-085 takes on the artistic style of a new environment, whether it be a comic book, an oil painting, watercolor, or charcoal sketching. Notes in comic form, her voice is visible as thought and voice rolls around her head in typical comic fashion, and as she moves between panels, the perspective and her relative size are also appropriately. Document 085-1, introduction to several prints authored by M.C.S. Researcher Cassandra. This is known as ascending and descending. What do you think of this one? SCP-085 walked a few times around the staircase. SCP-085 is pretty, I guess. We'll make a neat exercise. Truck research. You see nothing inconsistent with the staircase? SCP-085. No, as far as I can tell, it just loops around up and down up all the time. Why don't more staircases do that? It's pretty neat. After stepping out, SCP-085 requested several impossible objects in her own environment. These requests are pending 05 review. Document 085-2, incident 085-A. Prior to beep, SCP-085 was unaware of status as two-dimensional object in a three-dimensional world. Prior security protocols required that SCP-085 be kept unaware of its true nature in order to prevent psychological distress. Discrepancies with the perceived real world sensors, dreams, or night. An effort was made to present SCP-085 with a scenario in which it was law surviving human in a post-apocalyptic world searching for survivors. The section was quickly broken following an incident where an SCP Foundation researcher accidentally wrote a hard copy of SCP-085's special containment procedures reporting to the containment facility and allowed it to contact the artifact tower. SCP-085 transfer onto the document before the researcher could remove it and was immediately made aware of its true nature. Because of the containment breach, several researchers advocated immediate destruction of the artifact. This decision was appealed to the O5 Council, which in a beep decision advocated for SCP-085 to continue existence. Because of the containment breach, several researchers advocated immediate since the revelation of the true nature of observers of know that SCP-085 began to show clinical depression. Psychotherapy has been proposed, but the nature of the artifact's state of existence may make it difficult. Some success has been provided by providing SCP-085 tangibly means to distract itself from a condition. In addition to the aforementioned optical illusion, SCP-085 expressed particular interest in the set of technical drawings for a 1964 Ford Mustang convertible, transferring the parts of one by one onto a more naturalistic artwork and assembling the vehicle by hand over the period of 1 year. Gasoline being provided through a Norman Rockwell print of a gas station attendant. Request for further diversions of this nature are pending O5 level review and approval. Item number SCP-086 Object Class Safe. Total containment procedures. SCP-086 is contained within Office A19 and Bioresearch Station 71. The secretarial post outside the door is to be staffed by one armed guard. All components of SCP-086 to be kept within 6 meters of each other. SCP-086-1 is to be had on the office staff with a single connection to the telephone and the secretary's post. All communications between SCP-086 and personnel are to be recorded, transcribed, and archived. For 6 days, SCP-086 actually was to be used to sharpen 4 standard commercially purchased 16 centimeter hello, excuse me. That what? All of my tabs literally just disappeared, and I don't know what to do. I don't think that's what the Microsoft Edge. I'm sorry, Microsoft Edge is refusing. I apologize. I have a terrible thing. Right. Continuing until at least 95% of the mass of each pencil has been converted into pencil shaping. SCP-086 actually is not to be empty, even if personnel drugs has become clogged. In such an eventuality, personnel to wait 10 minutes and then resume sharpening. Every 7 days, SCP-086 is to be filled with a block of 200 standard commercially purchased stay. Well, every 20 days, SCP-086-4 is to be filled with 15 sheets of blank solos acetate film produced on site. SCP-086-5 is to be drained of waste matter. Whenever it fills more than halfway, the waste matter is to be incinerated. All rating material requested by SCP-086 must be approved by Site Command. All research proposals made by SCP-086 must be approved by 205 level personnel. Description: SCP-086 is a collective sexual organism whose component parts resemble items of office equipment from 1978, which contain a consciousness claiming to be that of a former Foundation Administrator Dr. Redacted 1907 to 1978. Its 8 components are a rotary telephone, SCP-086-1, a wall-mounted pencil sharp, and SCP-086-2, a desk stapler, SCP-086-3, a microfichery, the SCP-086-4, a water cooler, SCP-086-5, filing cabinet, SCP-086-6, a scientific calculator, SCP-086-7, a slide rule, SCP-086-8. No physical connection or electromagnetic transmission between any of these components has been detected. Each component of SCP-086 is a component of biological material contained within a carapace made of varying amounts of chitin, keratin, calcium carbonate, as well as trace amounts of nylon, rayon, and polyester. The DNA analysis reveals that the tissues contained within SCP-086 are partially of human origin and data expunged. SCP-086-1 contained a large mass of neural tissue with contents of the brain. Despite several conformational and anatomical irregularities, this brain hosted the majority of SCP-086's consciousness. SCP-086 will also contain their equivalent taipan to ossicilled the selector in the receiver's mouthpiece, allowing SCP-086 to hear. SCP-086 is able to speak in the exact match of Dr. Redacted's voice and accent via the earpiece, while the radiological and ultrasound examination have not revealed any language on structure. SCP-086 is also capable of ringing. However, SCP-086 stated that ringing gives it a headache. a headache. Consequently, the only circumstances under which it brings when awakening from sleep, at which point it brings twice in rapid succession of mind's stress, at which point it brings SOS in Morse code. SCP-086-2-3-4 functions food intake organism. SCP-086-2 consumes pencil shavings. SCP-086-3 consumes staples, and SCP-086-4 consumes micro. From SCP-086-5 functions a combination of bladder and bowel equivalent storing metabolic waste. SCP-086-6 contains several organisms which appear to combine sensory and manipulatory functions. SCP-086 is proven capable of reading printed material and physically manipulating small items, for instance, turning the pages and alphabetizing documents when they are placed on SCP-086-6. SCP-086 is requested is regularly provided with non-classified reading material and non-classified clerical work. The biological functions of SCP-086-7 and -8 have not been determined. However, SCP-086 has stated that it experiences significant discomfort and confusion when they are removed from its vicinity, and it is therefore speculated that they have some role in its cognition. Although SCP-086-7 accepts them, but its output seems to be that of random ghost and LED noise. SCP-086 has demonstrated that it has full access to Dr. Redacted's memories. No tests indicate 100% match with pre-existing psychological profiles of Dr. Redacted. However, SCP-086 does point out that there is no way to confirm that it actually thinks of itself as Dr. Redacted and that it may be an alien intelligence expertly posing as Dr. Redacted. There are sleepy persona which sincerely believes itself to be Dr. Redacted. Acquisition log. SCP-086 is presumed to have been created on June 12, 1978, when Dr. Redacted was presumed killed by the PN cost event resulting from the decommissioning of SCP. Beep! On June 20th, 1978, Dr. Redacted's office was being emptied by maintenance personnel so that it could be assigned to his successor. At this point, SCP-086-1 began ringing repeatedly, despite not being connected to a telephone jack. Maintenance personnel notified Level 3 operatives who answered SCP-086-1. During the subsequent conversation, SCP-086 identified itself as Dr. Redacted and then ordered Level 3 personnel to revoke its security clearance and make a full report of its existence and properties to 05 level personnel. Dr. Redacted was given a posthumous commendation for morality's conduct in either reporting himself as an SCP or influencing the anomalous entity, emulating his behavior into doing so. Note: although we appreciate SCP-086's conscientiousness, there is at this time no pressing reason to classify it as Euclid. Circumstances change will consider 05. Beep! Number SCP-087 also constitutes containment procedure. SCP-087 located on the campus of Redacted. The doorway leading to SCP-087 is constructed of reinforced steel with electro release lock mechanism. It has been designed to resemble a transforming closet consistent with the design of the building. The block mechanism will not release unless speed, also requiring conjunction with counterclockwise rotation of the key. The inside of the door is lined with 6 centimeters industrially formed padding. Due to the result of final exploration, the document 087-4, no personnel permitted access to SCP-087, and description SCP-087 is an anomalous platform staircase that starts at a 38-degree angle, sliding south and forward, rating a semicircular platform of approximately 3 meters in diameter. The center direction rotates 180 degrees each platform. The design of SCP-087 when its subjects have a visual range of approximately 1.5 flights. A light source is required for any subjects exploring SCP-087. There are no lighting fixtures or windows. When lighting source is brighter than 75 watts, shown to be in effect, so SCP-087 seems to absorb excess light. Subjects report on an audio recording confirmed the stress vocalizations from what is presumed to be a child between the ages of beep and beep. The source of the distress causes estimated to be approximately 200 meters below the initial platform. However, any attempts to descend the staircase have failed to bring the subjects closer to the source. The depth of descent calculated from exploration 4, the longest exploration is shown to be far beyond both the possible structure of both the building and geological surroundings. At this time, it is unknown if SCP-087 has an end point. SCP-087 has undergone full video recorded exploration by Class D personnel. Each subject conducting an exploration was encountered SCP-087-1, which appears as a face with no visible pupils, nostrils, or mouth. The nature of SCP-087-1 is entirely unclear, but it has been determined that it is not the source of the plating. subject concealed feelings of intense paranoia and fear when faced with SCP-087-1, but it's understandable that feelings are normal, simple, and natural reaction. And then over a period of 2 weeks following exploration, 4 several members of the staff and students from the redacted camp reported knocking at a variable rate of 1 to 2 seconds per minute coming from the interior of SCP-087. All leading to SCP-087 has been filled with 6 centimeters thick industrial padding. All reports of knocking have all right personnel may refer to document 087-1 through 087-4 for transports and explorations 1 through 4, document 087-1, document 087-2, document 087-3, data expunged. Number SCP-088, object lost its own time retrieved. SCP-088 is remain sealed in satellite case all times. The case is transparent acrylic plastic to resist the corrosive properties of SCP-088. It's created in the event that SCP-088 should awaken from hibernation in any room they stored within should be constructed of durable plastic, rubber, or ceramics to hinder its ability to escape temperature of SCP-088's containment should not exceed 15 degrees Celsius. Any personnel entering containment must observe all 400 dismantling protocols and wear the appropriate protective gear at all times. Any personnel who do not observe proper containment protocols in presence of SCP-088 or who show signs of physical mutation will be demoted to D class and held for observation. Description: SCP-088 is humanoid with reptilian features which appear to have modified in language. However, SCP-088 is merely in a state of hibernation from which it may recover if it is again exposed to a more hospitable environment than its current containment. Research has indicated that SCP-088 is approximately 6,000 years old and is capable of creating a variety of hazardous biological compounds from its mouth and hands. Some of these substances can be of right shrinking value if replicated, but until means to extract them without awakening SCP-088 is found. Research into this area was on hold. SCP-088 was recovered with the mummified remains of 23 beings sharing a similar morphology. However, none of these beings were alive, and examination suggests they were originally human. Information obtained by Agents E088-3 and E088-7 and their subsequent mutation due to SCP-088 exposure corroborates this theory. Addendum: SCP-088 was recovered in 1930B from a subterranean complex below Los Angeles, California. The site was originally developed by GWB and SB using a device he called a radio X-ray, which was little more than mechanical and dowsing. While speed thrust methods were dubious, his discovery was not. After mapping a series of tunnels and gold deposits below the city, SBs declared that he had found the lost city of the class described in the legends around the Hopi tribe. SBs claims runs far to be featured on the front page of the Los Angeles Times on January 29, 1934, before the Foundation was able to verify his claims and silence Mr. SB. Subterranean complex was not nearly as extensive as surrounding legend, for most of the artifacts recovered within were too corroded to provide significant information, save for a long method carved into rock walls and unfinished tunnels. For partial translation of this text, see document 088-1 for containment breach overview. In more than 70 years of containment, SCP-088 has only roused from a state of hibernation twice, breaching containment on the caustic fluid that dissolves most minerals and metal. Each time multiple personnel were exposed to a second compound, the SCP-088 uses to propagate itself. Infected personnel underwent a painful mutation after which they shared physical characteristics of SCP-088. Those few received a large dose of the compound administered directly via mouth-to-mouth contact would change the faucet and subsequently sacrifice themselves to protect SCP-088 from harm. SCP-088 has also demonstrated the ability to produce potent neurotoxins in liquid and gaseous form to combat containment personnel. Containment during the second breach was reachieved by isolating SCP-088 and affected personnel in the facility and lowering the temp, which are affected personnel built up pedestals and discarded equipment, upon which SCP-088 took a recumbent position for slipping back into hibernation. The mutated personnel was neutralized at this point. SCP-088 was returned to containment. The current strategy of lower temperature and non-metallic containment has been successful in keeping SCP-088 isolated. So SCP-088 was reclassified to safe status on November 19. I'm just going to go to the toilet quickly. Please do not mind me. someone just opened up the Just Giving page just then and just saw me not at my chair, not reading, to clarify if that you do exist, I was on the toilet. Right. Item number SCP-089. Alphabet class Euclid. See below. Special containment procedure. SCP-089 is stored in a special shipping container at Site 36 and for location events. Mobile Task Force MU-89, consisting of personnel with advanced training in linguistic psychology and tactical diplomacy, has been established in order to respond to such location events. Upon the occurrence of a location event, Mobile Task Force MU-89 is to translate and interpret the location so as to identify the primary subjects of that triggering. Herein designated SCP-089-AN and 089-B, then execute Protocol M8, which consists of the following. Says transport to SCP-089 to SCP-089-A's location and explain Protocol M8 to Protocol 089-B, and as such, time SCP-089-B is prepared to voluntarily execute Protocol M8, renders to SCP-089-B any assistance SCP-089-B may request in connection with SCP-089-B performing the following actions: inserting SCP-089-A into the cavity together with the inflammable materials such as oiled wood or charcoal, then igniting them. The successful execution of Protocol M8 requires the voluntary compliance of SCP-089-B in a sober and uncoerced state. Likewise, SCP-089-A must be conscious and alert during the execution of the protocol. It is recommended that SCP-089 be restrained, although not sedated, following ignition, so as to avoid interference with the completion of the protocols. The process is extremely painful and fatal to SCP-089-A. If SCP-089-B refuses to voluntarily execute Protocol M8 in accordance with the aforementioned specifications, NTF MU-89 is to explain the prospective consequences of failing to successfully complete the protocol and make every effort to persuade SCP-089-B to cooperate. If NTF MU-89's best efforts to do so persuade SCP-089-B are unsuccessful, SCP-089 is to be redesignated as key to class and Protocol M9 must be executed. Reference document 089-M9. The use of intimidation, threats, or mind-altering drugs or intoxicants in an effort to affect SCP-089-B's free will any attempt to complete Protocol M8 without SCP-089-B's participation or voluntary cooperation or otherwise other than as described strictly prohibited, since these measures invalidate the attempt to completion of the protocol and are to intensify the severity of the attendant type pass event. It is also recommended that although not a required part of Protocol M8 to call out the execution of Step 2 of Protocol M8 to be accompanied by the sounding of horn percussion instruments, as doing so may mask the sounds made by SCP-089-A during the execution of the protocol. Upon successful execution of Protocol M8, the related type has event generally begins to abate within 7 hours. Description: SCP-089 is a glazed earthenware statue approximately 3 meters in height, depicting a winged bull-headed humanoid with an open mouth. The front of the statue's torso is hinged and can be opened from the top to reveal a cavity approximately 0.6 cubic meters in volume and can be locked from the outside. The rear of the statue bears an inscription in a Canaanite language, possibly Punic. Footnote: Dr. B, translated an excerpt of the text as Nightmare of Moloch, the loveless men, called Moloch, the heavy judge of men. The statue dates from approximately the 2nd century BCE. On infrequent occasions, sometimes separated by periods in excess of a century, the statue speaks. The mechanism by which these sounds are made is not understood. On the mouth of the mouth of the statue does not move. The statue is located in a Canaanite language, possibly the same language as the inscription, and consists of the name or description of SCP-089-A, demands Protocol M8 to be accomplished together with instructions for doing so, and a description of the intended type has event in figurative language. Each location event is followed within a period of 3 to 11 days by the commencement of type has event meeting the description given in the location event, unless Protocol M8 has also been completed. Each type has been an epidemic, natural disaster, mass hysteria involving genocide or other massacres, or other event involving extensive damage to property and loss of human lives over a period of time that continues until Protocol M8 is successfully completed. In the case of each documented location event, the attendant type of event, what's significant is limited to a geographic area that does not directly affect SCP-089-B. This has, in some documented cases, resulted in the dependency of a type of event for an extended duration of time due to SCP-089-B's unwillingness of SCP-089 or Protocol M8, or to SCP-089-B's unwillingness to undertake Protocol M8 in order to arrest the Type S event. For each locution event, SCP-089-A is a healthy and biologically infantile child between 8 months and 6 years of age. Each SCP-089-B is that child's natural mother. In all documented cases at the time of the location event, SCP-089-A and B are reached alive and healthy and experience a strong bond of trust and affection with each other. Following SCP-089-B's placement of SCP-089-A in the cavity and ignition of the inflammable materials, SCP-089-A will burn and be destroyed over a period of 2 to 5 hours. Addendum 1. Memo to files from Dr. Garcia. While the role of SCP-089 in actually causing Type S events is unclear, experience has demonstrated that the prompt and precise application of Protocol NA is effective in limiting the damage that they do. Dr. Patel has speculated that SCP-089 does not cause Type S events, but merely anticipates them and provides a means to mitigate their effect. Addendum to a partial list of documented Type S events that were terminated by means of Protocol MA, inclusive document to completion of Protocol MA that predate the Foundation's acquisition of custody of SCP-089 follows. Date of location, March 21st, 1788. Description of Type S event and location event. The flame shall consume their houses, ye in their markets and their temples, and all their dwelling places they shall be destroyed. Type S event. Fire in city of Beep. Outcome Protocol MA complete on day 9 after locution event. 66% of cities buildings destroyed. Date of locution December 2nd, 1850. Description of Type S event and locution event. The false prophet shall gather the multitude unto him and cast him into the princess. They shall each of them be slain, and then their fields made barren. Type S event. Large scale messianic base peasant uprising and Beep. Outcome and Protocol MA completed on day 1363 after locution and massacres associated with uprising and its suppression and intended agricultural collapse account for at least million casualties. Date of locution November 23rd, 1951. Description Type S event and locution event. The earth shall tremble and the sea shall rise and be cast against the earth, and the mountain shall vomit fire. Its voice shall be darkness and death. Type S event. Earthquake and volcanic eruption and Beep. Outcome Protocol MA executed within 31 hours of locution event. No tsunami results, although geological models anticipated the one would occur from a seismic event in that area. No fatalities. Day of locution, November 7th, 1970. Description of Type S event and locution event. The rain showers shall scour the earth and sweep away man and his beasts and all his works. The deluge shall take them all. Type S event, cyclone and Beep. Outcome Protocol MA executed on day 49 after locution event. Casualties from flooding, disease, and starvation estimated at Beep. Day of locution, April 4th, 2000. Beep. Description of Type S event and locution event. Data expunged. Type S event. Data expunged. Outcome. Ongoing. Protocol N8. Not yet executed. That's mildly terrifying. That's mildly terrifying on a lot of levels. Item number SCP-090, object lucky special containment procedures. Artifacts to be held in a secure one in the facility at site Beep and constantly monitored by approved Class D personnel. The object in arrangement is to be managed every time it shifts. New arrangement is to be fed into the facility's Class OT supercomputer. Division retrievers to be notified of all changes in current estimates every half hour. No personnel is to touch SCP-0901 except under order Beep. AXA security level has been created for monitoring SCP-090. Non-AXA personnel found in the facility will be terminated. Description SCP-090 was located and retrieved in Beep on April 10th, 19 Beep. Prior to retrieval, the SCP-090 has been located in a chamber of the nearby cathedral. SCP-090 was removed the cathedral about 6 months and the priests were terminated. SCP-090 has been located at site Beep since the retrieval. Object's initial location prior to the cathedral is unrecorded. SCP-090 is a blank cubic structure, 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters, made of an unknown ceramic material. Object is classified as an indestructible following test outlined in document 090-B unattached. Each side is divided into 10,000 individual squares in an arrangement similar to a Rubik's Cube. 100 segments per edge, each segment 2 millimeters wide. Each square that has part of a design action to the surface. Action grow wide. Unknown internal structure causes the realignment of a single row or column roughly every 2.8 seconds. Vague records of the object's life have been kept since 1242 CE, but those kept before 1533 CE have been lost. Modern Modern technology has allowed the exact alignments to be imaged and recorded as well as studied. Segments are divided by a thin white line, and thus they are aligned correctly with the square directly adjacent to them. There are 22 correct alignments on the object surface currently. See 25.090.090-04D and attach a complete current object alignment. D02301602401602415 is currently the only alignment of 3 adjacent segments on the surface of SCP-01090. B100002409024099024098024 and C04307042076042076 the 4-segment alignment. There is also a 6-segment alignment. See document 090-B for research notes involving alignment effects. Full item completion has been hypothesized to cause an unparalleled disaster to occur. Addendum: AXA security level personnel should see document 090-B document 090-A Dr. Beep experiment. Notes experiment 001 to observation is going well. We managed to develop a system to record and analyze the shifts in the cube almost as quickly as they occur. No correlation between shifts and any world events found. The experiment 0048. We observed a 6-segment alignment today on the first side. It was noted and passed without incident. 2 hours later, a research assistant returned from the break room with news that a tsunami had occurred in the Indian Ocean and caused hundreds of thousands of deaths and extensive property damage. No correlation is currently known, but we will make note of it. Experiment 150150. After 120th alignment on the 4th side of the cube and 120th accident report in lab, we have designated the 4th side as a local and will implement safety procedures to control. Staff are discouraged from making bets regarding the outcome of alignment. Experiment 017 to a 6-segment alignment was reported this morning on the local side. The safety precaution side beep was evacuated. 2 hours later, a containment breach occurred, but resulted in no loss of life due to the evacuation. Object determined to predict this event, not cause them. First side designated as global. Upgrade to Euclid status required. Experiment 0240. We stacked up our experiments today by attempting to modify the cube. So Wendy, class personnel, beep, attempting to make a shift. SCP-090 immediately created a 10-segment alignment of its own accord near the top left corner of the local site. Exactly 2 hours later, SCP beep broke containment and data expunged. Agents beep and beep were also lost during the incident. Recommended full shift testing of SCP-090 postponed. Upgrade to key to class is approved. Key to state was approved as SCP-090 is obviously capable of causing events of its own accord. Object may be sentient. Item number: SCP-091 object class state relative containment procedure. SCP-091 is to be stored in a standard containment locker at site. Beep. When SCP-091 is not being tested, it is to be placed on the combination lock. Since SCP-091 show no signs of resistance to tearing or damage away than that of normal cardboard, great care should be taken when transporting it to and from testing sites. During testing, no one on the subject should view SCP-091. Those suspected of having seen SCP-091 to be administered a Class B amnestics immediately, and all personal recordings or images in the possession of the subject, both print and digital, are to be destroyed to prevent recurrence. Description: SCP-091 is a Scottish brand tissue box currently empty. Immediately upon observing SCP-091, viewers report an overwhelming sense of nostalgia. Those affected begin reminiscing about the times they were near SCP-091, major events that occurred while it was present, or people and places that somehow relate to it. SCP-091 was originally recorded in anomalous item in Central Reliquary Site 44 until one of the members of the recovery team, assistant researcher Beep, while viewing a recording of one of our weddings from 1990. Beep noted SCP-091 in the background of the film and noted a strong fuzz of nostalgic memories attached to it, including memories of SCP-091 the wedding itself, memories of SCP-091 the reception, memories of SCP-091 during the honeymoon. A further interview with assistant researcher Beep has been demonstrated that he too remembered SCP-091 in all of those places and situations, again noting strong feelings of nostalgia and fondness. For a further investigation, found that several people who attended the wedding remember SCP-091 being there and the emotional effect. Others were asked to describe the wedding itself without being informed of SCP-091. In these cases, they described the scene without including SCP-091 until they were questioned about it directly. At that time, they immediately underwent the same previously observed defect. Previous continued testing on the other continue to produce similar results. Administration of amnesics has proven ineffective at stopping the effect of the subjects allowed to view an image or recording of SCP-091. Of note is the fact that in each recording instance of SCP-091, the box pictured is full of tissues. This is a long article. SCP-092 is just a long article, and I'm probably not gonna speed read this. So just everyone just sit down. If you're not already, and enjoy the ride with SCP-092. Item number SCP-092 Object Class Safe Drug Containment Procedures. The 3,125 instances of SCP-092 are to be held in individual cases suitable for containing non-anomalous audio compact CDs installed in standard inanimate object lockers at Site 37. Each instance is to be individually numbered with permanent mark. For testing of instances of SCP-092 is to be only done in soundproof rooms. Only one instance of SCP-092 may be examined at a time. Only D-Class personnel to listen to previously unexamined instances of SCP-092. Research proposals which involve non-D-Class personnel listening to instances of SCP-092 require written approval from Site Command. The cadaver of SCP-092-B is not currently considered anomalous except by association and is preserved in the mold freezer at Site 19. Description: SCP-092 is a set of 3,125 audio CDs, each labeled the absolute best of the fifth dimension and marked with the names of the 31 performers who have at various times been part of the American singing group The Fifth Dimension. Each instance of SCP-092, when played in a standard CD player, will produce a distinct anomalous effect upon all individuals within a hearing range. The anomalous phenomenon will last 74 minutes, the duration of a standard audio CD, during which time listeners will be unable to leave the hearing range or to shut off the CD player or otherwise interrupt its function. As well, when the anomalous phenomenon finishes, all surviving listeners will engage in synchronized vocalization of the phrase "Wow, that was real cool." Synchronized vocalization is observed in non-anglophone, pre-verbal influence, unconscious individuals, paralyzed individuals, and individuals physically incapable of speech due to lingual and other buccal damage. The anomalous properties of each instance of SCP-092 are thematically and conceptually linked to the number 5 dimensions and/or the members of the fifth dimension. As of 871 instances of SCP-092 have been assessed and the anomalous properties formally described. See document 092-W83 for a full list, or below for a representative sample. Representative sample of documented anomalous properties of SCP-092. Instance: anomalous property. SCP-092-028. Listeners experience quintuple vision for all moving objects. SCP-092-049. Listeners' bodies exude pentagonal crystals of elemental boron, chemical element number 5. Crystals cease materializing upon conclusion of CD but do not dematerialize. In SCP-092-002, listeners' bodies exude pentagonal ingots of elemental manganese, chemical element number 25 or 5. Aparo. 2. Ingots cease materializing upon conclusion of CD but do not dematerialize. Listeners succumb to acute manganese poisoning within 24 hours. SCP-092-043. Listeners' bodies exude pentagonal modules of elemental cesium, chemical element number 55. All listeners killed by cesium burns within 8 minutes. SCP-092-079. Listeners become physiologically 5 years old. SCP-092-080. Listeners become physiologically 5 months old. SCP-092-008. 1. Listeners become physiologically 5 weeks old. SCP-092-082. Listeners become physiologically 5 days old. SCP-092-087. Listeners spontaneously become 5 months pregnant. Pregnancy spontaneously miscarry upon conclusion of CD. In initial tests, all male listeners succumb to massive internal hemorrhaging within 10 minutes, as the 3 female listeners. Surviving female listeners succumb to organ damage within 4 days. Post-mortem genetic analysis shows that all fetuses are identical and are not related to the listeners. SCP-092-126. Listeners experience unbearably painful facial spasms characterized by constant chewing and biting motion. symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia caused by inflammation of the fifth cranial nerve. During the initial test, all listeners batten themselves into unconsciousness against the walls of testing chamber in attempts to escape the pain. SCP-092-175. Listeners' bodies are pentasected radially, producing 5 disconnected segments which remain alive and mobile. SCP-092-176. Listeners' bodies are pentasected laterally, producing 5 disconnected segments which remain alive and mobile. SCP-092-177. Listeners' bodies are pentasected longitudinally, producing 5 disconnected segments which remain alive and mobile. SCP-092-178. Listeners' bodies are pentasected axially, producing 5 disconnected segments which remain alive and mobile. SCP-092-200. Listeners are teleported to a site on the surface of Himalaya, the fifth most massive moon of Jupiter, fifth planet from the Sun. Listeners are returned upon conclusion of CD, but succumb to the poisons of hypothermia, hypoxia, and radiation poisoning within 3 hours. Footnote. Request has been made to SCP-092-200 to send exploration team equipped with environment suits to Himalaya. Approval is pending. SCP-092-256. Listeners are converted into 2-dimensional forms. SCP-085 sounds like... Imagine if... you could get SCP-085 some friends like that. SCP-092-271. Listeners spontaneously lose 5 teeth each. Teeth do not regrow after conclusion of CD. SCP-092-272. Listeners spontaneously lose all but 5 teeth each. Teeth do not regrow after the conclusion of CD. SCP-092-273. Listeners spontaneously lose 5 fingernails. Each fingernails do not regrow after conclusion of CD. SCP-092-274. Listeners spontaneously lose 5 toenails. Each toenails do not regrow after conclusion of CD. SCP-092-278. Listeners spontaneously grow 3 extra eyes, each for a total of 5. Footnote. D-092-771, who had lost an eye in a fight prior to entering Foundation custody, grew 4 extra eyes when listening to SCP-092-278. Extra eyes do not dematerialize upon conclusion of CD. Eyes are functional and of the same color as listeners' initial eyes. What if someone has multiple eye colors? SCP-092-279. Listeners experience topological deformation such as their height becomes the circumference of their waist and vice versa. Deformation reverts at the conclusion of CD. This appears to be an exchange between listeners' dimension of height and dimension of width. SCP-092-285. Listeners sneeze 5 times per minute for duration of the CD. SCP-092-286. Listeners belch 5 times per minute for the duration of the CD. SCP-092-287. Listeners hiccup 5 times per minute for the duration of the CD. SCP-092-288. Listeners cough 5 times per minute for the duration of the CD. SCP-092-315. Listeners find themselves in the 2010 Lars von Trier film Dimension. Footnote. Although SCP-092 was taken into Foundation custody and von Trier began production on Dimension in the 1980s with the intention of continuing for 30 years, where they are able to interact with the setting but not affect the actions of the character. So since Dimension is only 27 minutes in duration, the events within the film repeat 2.74 times. SCP-092-316. Listeners find themselves within the 1993 EastEnders Doctor Who crossover Dimensions in Time, where they are able to interact with the setting but not affect the actions of the character. So since the 2 parts of Dimensions in Time are only 13 minutes in duration, the events within the episodes repeat 5.69 times. SCP-092-317. Listeners find themselves in the 1963 Italian film Amore in Quattro Dimensioni, where they are able to interact with the setting but not affect the actions of the character. So SCP-092-397. Listeners experience random moments in the life of Alan Shepard, the 5th man to walk on the room. SCP-092-399. Listeners experience random moments in the life of James Monroe, the 5th President of the United states SCP-092-400 listeners experience random moments in the life of Mackenzie Bowell, the fifth Prime Minister of Canada. SCP-092-401 listeners experience random moments in the life of Edward Seagar, the fifth Prime Minister of Jamaica. SCP-092-402 listeners experience random moments in the life of Tara Singh, the fifth Prime Minister of India. SCP-092-403 listeners experience random events in the life of Helen Hayes, the fifth winner of the Academy Award for Best Actress. SCP-092-466 listeners physically transformed into members of the original lineup of the Fifth Dimension as they were at the time of the group's establishment in 1960. SCP-092-467 listeners are physically transformed into members of the original lineup of the Fifth Dimension as they were at the time of the original group's dissolution in 1975. SCP-092-468 listeners are physically transformed into members of the original lineup of the Fifth Dimension as they were at the original group's reunion in 1990. SCP-092-469 listeners are physically transformed into members of the original lineup of the Fifth Dimension as they are today. Listeners who transformed into Rumtown since 1933 to 2001 resume their original forms after the conclusion of CD, but do not resurrect. One instance of SCP-092 is inserted into the CD drive of a personal computer. Its files can be accessed without triggering the anomalous effect. Examination of files indicate that each CD has different context. All content is audio material by or pertaining to the Fifth Dimension as individual members. In addition to all non-commercially released songs, files contain live performances, practice sessions, auditions, media interviews, and personal conversations. Acquisition log. On May 5th, an unidentified man, henceforth SCP-092-B, carrying 2 suitcases approached front gate guardians at Site 19 and said he wished to surrender himself and his anomalous creations into Foundation custody. The contents of his suitcases were confiscated and classed as SCP-092. SCP-092-B was transferred to Site 37 for interrogation. During interrogation, SCP-092-B revealed the thematic connections, five dimensions and the fifth dimension between all instances of SCP-092 and then committed suicide. Access requires Level 4 security clearance or higher. Restricted access. Transcript of statement made by SCP-092-B upon arrival at Site 19. So, this is private property. You can't. This is a secret Foundation site, right? You want to come in here, so alright. You're the SCP Foundation, and I'm a failure. What was that, sir? You're the SCP Foundation, and I'm a failure. I think I'm clever, but I'm not. I'm a stupid, boring, neck-knacky hack who thinks that money and cheap puns can take the place of talent and inspiration. I'm tasteless. I'm dull. I'm incompetent. I have no sense of style, and the only reason I'm not an art criminal is that nothing I've ever made is even close to being art. You can secure me and you can contain me, but no one can protect me. Please take me and my anomalous garbage into custody. At this point, guards summoned backup. SCP-092-B repeated this statement verbatim until he was taken into custody. Excerpt from transcript of interview of SCP-092-B interrogation session number 2. Yes, we understand about 5ness, thank you. That's been most helpful. But we were also wondering what you would tell us about how you made these. I just wanted to be cool, you know. I really did. I thought, well, I have my inheritance and my collection, and there was the estate and the abandoned museum, and so much of the stuff went together, and it wasn't that tough. And look, my ideas are better than yours. They were. I know they were. No, they're not. Nobody's impressed by stupid facile words. But it's not even good wordplay. It's kindergarten. It's kindergarten level. Look, 5 dimensions. What other thing can you think of that come in 5? I'm worthless. Better than my ideas. There's no deeper meaning to what I did. It's all superficial poking village pumping out into the river of humanity. It steams open, right? Don't even understand those illusions. I'm an uninspired wannabe. I'm born a useless hack with no imagination. I've wasted and ruined now because I've squandered so much raw material that better people could have done so much with. I'm not cool. I never will be. I'm really sorry about the mess. These aren't my arms. At this point, SCP-092 2-B seized his own head with both hands and ripped it off his neck, killing himself instantly. How nice. I know the next one's going to be a long article, so I'm getting my dad now. Every hour. So that YouTube doesn't terminate me for community guideline. Of course, that there are 2 people watching the second I have to go. Temporarily to go on it. Dad, please appear so that YouTube doesn't give me community guideline strikes for not having direct adult supervision.
Oh.
So as you can see, YouTube, if you're that second viewer, this is my dad. He is direct adult supervision because he, as much as he might like to deny it, is an adult. I am not an adult. But he is. Do not give me a community guideline strike.
There you go.
Do not. Right, anyway, so we can get back to SCP now. Item number SCP-093 Object Class with Special Containment Procedure. See document SCP-093-T1 for outlining testing conditions. SCP-093 must remain on their all time under video surveillance. Admittance into the area of SCP-093's containment must be authorized only with proper videos recording the subject recording procedures in place. Any attempt to use SCP-093 outside of an approved test will be dealt with severely up to and including termination. Description: SCP-093 is primarily read this. Wait, did I say that it's Object Class Euclid? Carved from stone composite resembling cinnabar with circular engravings and other symbols carved at 0.5 centimeters depth around the entire object. Because present on SCP-093 with a depth of 1 to 1.5 centimeters, SCP-093 is 7.62 centimeters in diameter and fits comfortably into most palms without abrasion. SCP-093 will change hue when held by a living individual. The colors taken by SCP-093 are still being researched to establish the link. Current belief holds that the changes depend on the regrets carried by the holder. If SCP-093 is removed from a mirror and not held by a person, it will seek out the nearest mirror so if SCP-093 has been observed to travel in the largest possible circle while rolling, building up for nominal speed. The mechanism of this acceleration is currently unknown. If an obstacle is between SCP-093 and the nearest mirror-like surface, it will use this momentum to punch through the obstacle and continue on its course at this speed. It will only stop when a mirror-like surface is contacted. Despite tremendous impact velocities, no damage will be dealt to SCP-093 or the mirror. Additional notes: no records exist to clarify the nature of SCP-093's discovery or presence in the Foundation. See SCP-093-OT. Since no records exist explaining SCP-093's method of containment, the task procedure was initiated to establish why mirrors must be used to contain it. The result of SCP-093-T1 led to the discovery of living beings holding SCP-093 being able to move through mirrors, and the series of tests on SCP-093-T2 to ascertain the destination reached through this travel. SCP-093 original documentation. Item number SCP-093 Object Class Euclid Special Containment Procedure. SCP-093 is to be kept on a silver line mirror on a 0.3 by 0.23 meter and 1 foot by 9 inch pedestal of at least 1.22 meters, 4 feet off the ground floor, and containment cell block beep. Object is not to be containing areas exceeding 3.66 by 3.05, 12 by 10 feet, and all placed in the mahogany, pine, cherry, or aluminium pedestals above or below level 1 of containment block beep. Object can be handled safely, albeit gently, without consequences. Tests and consequences thereof involving containment conditions can be viewed in section B35-1 of the report. Description: object was found on the shore of the Red Sea 30th January 1968, emitting a low cyan and a dim blue gleam. Its color has since turned to an orange mix of red, only emitting a hum of varying volume whilst in the presence of female examiners of ages between 34 and 41. SCP-093 resembled the documented blue for 54, 34 at 120. 26th of April 1986, coincidentally when the body of 19499834 was discovered in research facility beep. Tied between 194983 and SCP-093 remaining conclusive, and effects of prolonged exposure to SCP-093 remain unknown except for infrequent reports of periods of calmness in the case of 242-0049 is periodic waves of depression, loss of balance, and even thoughts of suicide. These feelings have reportedly not exceeded 11 days and duration. Object seems to react to the presence of 24200056 by turning light violet for no more than 209 as documented on 12th of March 1990. Effects of this reaction remain unknown. Additional notes. Origins of 093 remain unknown, and documents of recovery of 093 have since been destroyed in a fire in research facility B. 09 December 1989. Reports on the feelings of researchers who handled 093 have remained inconsequential since 19th of April 1995. SCP-093-T1 Containment Test. Testing of SCP-093 against conditions set forth for existing containment procedures to assess viability of continuing such containment. Beginning with changing the type of mirror used as a position of rest. Mirrored surface, brass frame, retail grade mirror. SCP-093 rests without activity when placed on the mirror. This test alone removes the need for costly silver or wooden containment system. Standard grade table. SCP-093 turns upright and begins to roll across the table surface in one direction, making a U-turn and rolling to the other, completing an oval shape and repeating this action until a mirror is brought into the vicinity of it, at which time SCP-093 rolls towards the mirror and lays flatways against it, sliding against the center. It is now that despite the grainy field of SCP-093, it does not mark the mirror in any fashion while moving across it. Two mirrors at either end of the standard grade table. SCP-093 gravitates toward the closest mirror regardless of orientation and makes no distinction between different types of mirrors, favoring a factor of distance above all else in choosing the mirror to move to. A mirror held by a person moved around. SCP-093 follows the mirror as it moves, gaining speed until a maximum velocity of beep is reached. At any velocity, the impact of SCP-093 against the mirror's surface results in no damage to either object. A person holding SCP-093 placing it on a mirror. This test was accidental, the result of one of the staff tripping another after some debate about who would be covering the lunch tab. As a result of the behavior of the researchers, it was discovered that a person holding SCP-093 and placing it against the mirror will in fact move into the mirror. Addendum. Containment testing discontinued after a staff reporting that SCP-093 requires only a mirror to rest in art. So testing on human interaction with mirrors while holding SCP-093 is authorized by Dr. Beep. SCP-093-T2 Mirror Test. Setting Protocol. Subject testing SCP-093 must wear a Class 3 buckle harness strapped to the chest and attached to a tension pulley system, allowing 300 meters, 1,000 feet of movement. Additional small spools may be added to extend movement if necessary. The cloth connecting these spools must be high grade and capable of withstanding applied force of 0.2 tons. A field kit containing the following should be standard issue for testing of SCP-093. One wrist-mounted light source with 3 hours lifespan and additional power source, providing up to 6 additional hours. 4 0.5 litre water bottles with water, 4 MREs of any type, plus 2 plain granola bars, chocolate chips allowed. One standard issue Beretta 9mm firearm with 24 rounds of ammunition loaded. This is not to be issued until the subject is passed into mirror using SCP-093 and should be given under armed supervision, ensuring that subject passes through entirely. This item is to be requisitioned first upon subject return, and subject is to be made aware of this before leaving line of sight within SCP-093's mirror. One standard issue field knife. The subject is not to be made aware of this item and must find it on his own within the kit. The subject must also be attached to a video system and a camera mounted on the subject's head or shoulders. The video device should be cable-based and allow for sunlight to travel as a return system. Wireless cameras have shown mixed results and should only be used in testing conditions where SCP-093 is currently non-color. New colors must be tested using wide field of contact. During testing, the color of SCP-093 must be recorded as well as the history of the subject in terms of their incarceration to determine how SCP-093 determines the color to assume. A link appears to be connected to a guilt or a lack thereof in the subject's psyche. The attached test results should be read in order. SCP-093 blue test, SCP-093 green test, SCP-093 violet test, SCP-093 yellow test, SCP-093 red test. The following data has been classified. Personnel requesting this data must read all declassified test data and have the approval of 2 Class 4 personnel. SCP-093 recovered materials. Item number SCP-094 Class Key. Special containment procedures. Since SCP-094 is currently a movable research and containment facility, has been built around its location centered beep beep, south, beep, west, and the guys in the Argentinian military research base. No unauthorized persons or aircraft may come within 1 kilometer of the site enforced by joint SCP and Argentinian forces. SCP-094 itself is enclosed in a gas permeable steel reinforced plexiglass cube 3 meters on the side with a single door, also of reinforced plexiglass in one side. The door must remain locked at all times except with O5 authorization under tightly controlled conditions. This cube is kept within the center of a 20 meter by 20 meter room, accessible with level 4 authorization. All personnel must secure themselves tethered anchored to the walls before stepping onto the floor of the room. Security personnel are to be armed with tranquilizer guns in addition to standard armaments. Description: SCP-094 appears to be a perfectly black sphere, 163 centimeters in diameter, suspended approximately 3 meters off the ground with no apparent means of support. SCP-094 has been classified in the miniature event horizon. Any metal that moves into SCP-094, including the light, is irretrievably gone. However, SCP-094 is not a black hole since it does not exert a gravitational pull. SCP-094 has been known to occasionally emit a number of different sounds, including ambient sounds of nature, static words, and sometimes human speech. No attempts to communicate with SCP-094 have yet succeeded. It is unknown whether these sounds come from SCP-094 itself from something or thing inside of SCP-094 or from some area that connects to SCP-094. A small percentage of persons appear to be drawn to SCP-094 because of the sounds it emanates. SCP-094 was discovered in 1920 in the Chubut province of southern Argentina, and at the time was estimated to be 20 to 25 centimeters in diameter. Analysis of historical records indicate that the diameter of SCP-094 doubles in size approximately every 31 years. Primary research activities of SCP-094 are concentrated on finding out how to stop or reverse its growth without inducing cataclysmic failure. Amendment: the handle SCP-1032 designated 1032-15 will achieve its midnight event on 0904-2690, approximately the same date as SCP-094 will fully engulf the Earth at its current rate of expansion. Note: a few millimeters of much may not seem like much. No, at the moment you cannot see SCP-094 change day to day. But if it continues its exponential growth, in less than 250 years, it will be a kilometer wide, including vertically. And this is assuming it does not grow even faster, which is an assumption that almost no one here makes. Dr. Lillian Garcia. Oh yeah, also, I should tell you. So there's one person watching this right now, so, hello to that one person. You can go and, you can head into, in the description of this video, there's a link to the Just Giving page. If you want to donate, and if you want to make me losing my sanity by reading the entire SCP wiki actually have some sort of meaning, you can go and donate that. I mean, it's completely optional. Don't feel pressured. Item number: SCP-095 Object Class 6. Role Containment Procedure: SCP-095 is to be placed in a standard polythene sleeve when not under scheduled research and stored in a standard locked filing cabinet to prevent damage, and where high-resolution digital scans are available for any level 1 and above personnel who wish to view SCP-095. Description: SCP-095 appears to be a set of 3 moderately aged black and white comic books printed in 1932. The front and rear covers are missing, and several pages have been rendered illegible due to water damage. It was found by Agent Beep in a small antique shop in Denver, Colorado, and purchased for a small fee without it. So the owner of the shop had apparently not read the item past the publisher's date on the first page. Forensic inspections of SCP-095 have revealed it to be genuine, though completely unremarkable save for its content. It is printed on cheap pulp paper, and it was inked with dyes common to other publications of its era. While the publisher's stamp indicates it was produced by Future Funnies, a company operating out of the town of Purple Lake, Ohio. All research and inquiries thus far from both the company and the town to be completely non-existent. The comic itself is a pulp science fiction story entitled The Atomic Adventures of Ronnie Reagan, featuring a lead character bearing an unmistakable resemblance to former United States President Ronald Reagan. Each story opens up with a large panel reading: in the far-fetched future world of the 1980s, only Ronnie Reagan can save the day. He appears to follow an episodic format with one self-contained story per publication. The three stories are briefly described below. Ronnie versus Space Admiral Carter. The story pits planetary governor Ronnie Reagan and his sidekick Space Major Herbert against the titular Space Admiral Carter as they both vie for the position of Space Marshal. The events loosely follow the events of the 1980 presidential election. Space Assassin. The story follows a character named Space Players. He prepares to assassinate Space Marshal Reagan. He manages to catch Reagan by surprise and wound him with his devastator ray before being subdued by Reagan's soldiers. The events obviously refer to the 1981 assassination attempt by John Hinckley Jr. Jungle Planet! This story follows Reagan's attempts to create an army of robots on the jungle-covered planet of Nika in order to protect it from the evil Sandbandits. Although Reagan is told that he will lose his command and if he interferes with events on planet Nika, he sends Lieutenant Space Colonel West to secretly build a fort under the cover of the jungle. When their plan is discovered, Space Colonel West publicly takes the blame and saves his superior. The storyline appears to be a simplified retelling of the Iran-Contra controversies of 1986. Possibly most interesting is the final page of each book, which advertises other stories published by future funnies. Investigation is underway to locate any surviving copies at once. The advertised storage are listed below. Space Major Herbert assumes command. Starman and Willie versus the Space Succubus, a Gold Walker and sneak attack. Barry built refugees on planet F. Got Diamond Donnie and put him on the red Skyman, Sarah of the Ice World, Flying Franken versus Rocket Rush, Star Command Proton and losing battle. The new menace, death to mankind. Personal log of Dr. Beep. Date 10/06/2004. I don't think I need to emphasize how important it is to recover any and all of the advertised stories immediately. The final two in particular. And we're up to 2 people watching again. Hello, person. You've come at exactly the right time to watch me read 096. If you don't know that much about SCP, 096 is a really good article. And, well, it's a well-known article. Item number, SCP-096, object class Euclid, special containment trees. SCP-096 is being contained in itself, 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter airtight sealed cube at all times. Weekly checks on any tracks or holes are mandatory. There'd be absolutely no video surveillance or obstacle tools of any kind inside SCP-096's cell. Security personnel will use pre-installed pressure sensors and laser detectors to ensure SCP-096's presence inside the cell. Any more photos, video, or recordings of SCP-096's likeness is strictly forbidden without approval from Dr. Beep and 05-Beep. Description: SCP-096 is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass, with preliminary analysis of body mass suggesting mild malnutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters each. Skin is mostly devoid of pigmentation, with no sign of any body hair. SCP-096's jaw can up to 4 times the normal of an average human. Other facial features remain similar to an average human, with the exception of the eyes, which are also devoid of pigmentation. It is not yet known whether SCP-096 is blind or not. It shows no signs of any higher brain functions and is not considered to be sapient. SCP-096 is normally very docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating it spends most of the day pacing by the eastern wall. However, when someone views SCP-096's face, whether it be directly via video recording or even a photograph, it will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. SCP-096 will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes after the first viewing, SCP-096 will begin running to the person who views its face, who will from this point on be referred to as SCP-096-1. Documented speeds have varied from 35 kilometers per hour to b kilometers per hour and seem to depend on the distance from SCP-096-1. At this point, no known material or method can impede SCP-096's progress. The actual position of SCP-096-1 does not seem to locate SCP-096's response. It seems to have an innate sense of SCP-096-1's location. Note, this reaction does not occur when viewing artistic depiction. See document 096-1. Upon arriving at SCP-096-1's location, SCP-096 will proceed to kill and data expunged SCP-096-1. 100% of cases have left no traces of SCP-096-1. SCP-096-1 sit down for several minutes before regaining its composite becoming docile once again. It will then attempt to make its way back into its natural habitat, data redact. Due to the possibility of a mass chain reaction, including breach of Foundation secrecy and large civilian loss of life, retrieval subjects will be considered alpha priority. Dr. Beep will also position for immediate termination of SCP-0960 and C-096-1 termination order has been approved and is to be carried out by Dr. Beep on data redacted C incident 096-1-A. Audio will from interview 096-1 interviewer. Dr. Beep interviewed Captain Retired Beep, former commander of Retrieval Team 09A. Retrieval incident is 096-1-A. Begin log. Beep. Beep. Time. Research area. Beep. It always sucks to get in there for retrieval duty. You have no idea what the thing is capable of, besides what jacked up information the field techies can strike up, and you're lucky if they even tell you the whole story. Told us to back on tack. Didn't tell us about not looking at the thing. Could you describe the mission, please? Yes, sir. We had 2 jobs, one with my team and one I'm back up with Zulu 9B and Dr. Beep. We started talking about 2 clicks north of a patrol path. I was guessing he wasn't facing our direction, or else he would have taken us out then and there. Your report said SCP-096 didn't react to the cold. It was negative degrees Celsius. Actually, it was negative, and the air was naked and it didn't so much shiver. Anyway, we landed, approached the target, and Corporal Beep was ready to bag it. That's when Dr. Beep called. Well, I turned to answer it, and that's what really saved me. The target must have turned my whole squad saw it. That's when SCP-096 enters an agitated emotional state. Yeah. So sorry I got away for a second. That's alright. Yeah, well, I never saw its face. My squad did, and they paid for it up there. Could you describe it a little more, please? Yeah, I started screaming at us and crying. Not animal roaring, though. Sounded exactly like a person. Really creepy. We started firing when I picked up Corporal Beep and ripped off his leg. God, he was screaming for our health. Anyway, we blown chunks out of the target round after round. Didn't do. I almost lost it when it started data expunged them. That's when you ordered the use of a AT-4 HEDT launcher. An anti-tank gun, started carrying it ever since SCP Beep got loose. I've seen those tear through tanks like tissue paper. The same thing to the target. There was significant damage to SCP-096. Didn't even flinch. Kept tearing apart my squad with half its torso gun. But it was taking damage. It wasn't showing it. It must have lost all its organs, all its blood, but it didn't acknowledge any of it. Its bone structure wasn't hurt at all now. Kept tearing my squad apart. So, no actual structural damage. How many rounds would you say were fired at SCP-096? At least 1,000. Our dog could have kept his JU-19 on it for at least 20 seconds. 20 seconds! That's 650 caliber round pumped into the thing. Might as well have been spitting at it. This is when Zulu 9B arrived. Yeah, my squad was gone. Zulu 9B managed to get the bag over its head and it just sat down. We got it into the chopper and got it there. I don't know how I never saw its face. Maybe God or Buddha or whoever thought I should live. We have obtained an artist's depiction of SCP-096's face. Would you like to view it? You know, after hearing that thing screams and the screams of my man, I don't think I want to put a face to what I heard. No, just no. Alright, I believe we are done here. Thank you, Captain. Chairs are heard moving and footsteps leave the room. Captain, retired. Beep, is conferred to have left interview room 22. Listen, let this be on record that I am formally urgently requesting SCP-096 be terminated as soon as possible. End log. Hello to the second person who just joined the live stream. You just heard me read SCP-096 article. If this is for a strange charity thing. If you want to donate, you'll find the link in the description. But other than that, you really don't need to know anything other than that I am going completely mentally insane and I need psychiatric help. Item number SCP-097, or what I call sequence, battle containment procedure. SCP-097 is contained within the limits of the property where it was naturally discovered. Zone SCP-097. He left the live stream. The property is surrounded by an 8-meter tall concrete block fence, fitted with barbed wire and security camera systems. Satellite images of Zone SCP-097 to be doctors removing all traces of the area. Any and all new plant both outside the containment area are suspected to originate within the SCP is to be sterilized through application of boiling salt water and/or incinerated. Absolutely all abnormal behavior is to be reported to Dr. Bridge within 10 minutes of occurrence. If any personnel or their families experience hallucinations or thematically related dreams outside of containment, they are to contact Dr. Bridge to schedule treatment. Locality surrounding SCP-097, specifically redacted, is to be monitored from the 1st of April until the 1st of November every year for affected civilians. Medical establishments dealing with sleep abnormalities is to be monitored for signs of SCP-097's influence. Civilians below the age of 16 encountered alone within 1 square kilometer of Zone SCP-097 to be taken into Foundation custody and are to be treated with a Class B amnestic and returned home or to the nearest police station. Personnel tasked with the return of civilians and to avoid public exposure, each agent is to be assigned cover story to follow if they do encounter civilians en route to their destination. Sea Level 3 staff for the morning after the first frost of the year, routine 25 days on alcohol rules to enter SCP-097 and clear away the outer plant matter. This process is not to continue past dusk. Description: SCP-097 is a 10-acre area of land in the state of Redacted in the Midwestern United States. It is the abandoned remains of the Redacted County Fair 1969, an area of approximately 2.3 kilometers squared, approximately 5.4 square miles. Structures within the SCP area exist in a state of moderate disrepair, consistent with the expected age and environment. At the center of SCP-097 lies the remains of a 1956 GMC pickup truck, majority of which is crushed beneath the colossal pumpkin of unknown subtype, henceforth SCP-097-01. SCP-097-01 stands approximately 10.4 meters, 24.3 feet tall, and 8.1 meters, 26.8 feet in diameter at its widest. Current estimates for SCP-097-01 are approximately 15,000 kilograms, approximately 33,070 pounds. The pumpkin remains roughly spherical in shape and instead of spreading out under its own weight as would be expected of a plant of its size. The remaining portion of SCP-097, approximately 2 kilometers squared, is overgrown with several dozen varieties of pumpkins, with over 70 subspecies not yet identified and many previously unknown to agriculture. Many of these pumpkins have been shown capable of growing to enormous sizes, that the average estimated weight being around 250 kilograms. Average 550 pounds. These pumpkins, along with the assorted other crops, grow with on and around the remains of the 1969 fairgrounds, creating a maze-like arrangement of plant life. The average height of the walls within SCP-097 is 1.6 meters, though this may vary from year to year. Between April and November each year, the area within SCP-097 has produced a number of anomalous phenomena, ranging from benign to implicitly aggressive. To date, 17 agents have been severely maimed within SCP-097, having died. As the event log SCP-097 for a brief listing of recorded phenomena. Addendum: historical known. Prior to the construction of SCP-097 containment ones, until what are now known as SCP-2171-1 were occasionally observed to form fragmented walls, and at one point in a complete ring of 2171 around SCP-097's area of effect. This behavior since ceased following the containment walls, including the purpose and implication behind this interaction are as yet unknown. Effects of SCP-097 on children. In addition to its immediate effects outlined in event log SCP-097, SCP-097-01 appears to produce an undetectable signal towards children in an undetermined range. For clarity, children will refer to individuals as up to the age of 10. Beginning in early April, civilian children when the SCP-097's undefined range may be overcome with somnambulism and unclear night. Affected children will move around their home, stopping to face closed doorways for several seconds before moving to the next nearest door, where eventually returning to bed. At first, this behaviour will occur only once, beginning with only the doors on a single floor. The sleepwalking will become more frequent by mid-August, happening every night. Forcibly awaken at any time during these episodes, they will scream for several seconds before succumbing to a degree of confusion. After an affected child is awoken in this manner, the effect will cease, and the child will never show any further signs of SCP-097 influence. Over the course of 2 to 3 months, these episodes will become more thorough, effective individuals seeking out each doorway inside their home as well as those in the household property, such as garages, car doors, and fence gates. Eventually, they will begin visiting the front doors of neighbours. Beginning in September, affected children who have remained undisturbed during the episodes will begin to remain outside at sunrise, laying on grass near their homestead and returning to full REM sleep. Affected children may recall dreams centering around autumn activities. Between September 1st and November 1st, if the affected children have not been previously awoken during the preceding sleepwalking episodes, they will cease the previously established activity during the sleepwalk and instead begin to walk directly towards SCP-097's location. They will travel over fields and down secondary roads, steadily moving towards SCP-097. Local geography consists mostly of undeveloped web foundation and property, facilitating uninterrupted travel. Upon arrival at SCP-097, an affected child will sit down before SCP-097-01 and begin singing unidentifiable gibberish as music begins to play. While a number of instruments have been recorded, simple drums and pipes are the most consistently encountered. After several minutes, childlike entities will crawl out from tangled floor or break out of the larger pumpkins. With SCP-097, the children will be wearing whatever they were last seen with, most often pajamas or similar clothing. Many of these entities match those children known to be lost to SCP-097-01. The entities will surround the affected civilian child, dancing and singing in a circle as SCP-097-01 begins to emit dim light. The affected child will awaken, normally expressing a great deal of terror. The instant any vocalization is produced, the entities will swarm and kill the child. The methods used are different in each instance, but usually involve dismemberment or strangulation. At this point, any and all efforts to interrupt the entities will fail, whether through breakdown of equipment, sudden intangibility of the subject, or express violence on the part of SCP-097. After the death of the affected child, SCP-097-01 will split open. The entities will hurl remains into it before climbing in themselves. SCP-097-01 will then close and the music will stop. Before the containment rule was erected, at least children between the ages of 3 and 10 are known to have been lost to SCP-097. See event log SCP-097 were current examples of SCP-097's behavior. I can hear my dad clattering around with forks in the background, so my dinner may be very soon to come. So I'll read up to SCP-100 and then I will stop. Item number SCP-098, Object Class 6 Containment. Members of SCP-098 have been absent in a 10 meter by 20 meter room with small pools of water on a sandy substrate. Rocks and driftwood are to be left in a random arrangement for SCP-098 to nest in. The enclosure is to be cleaned on a weekly basis. During this time, all members of SCP-098 are to be accounted for first to prevent injury or death to personnel or SCP-098. Any members of SCP-098 that appear ill or injured are to be removed and examined. Description: SCP-098 is species of previously unknown crustacean. They resemble crabs, but rather than chelae, the front limbs terminate in knife-like structures. They incorporate silica to form an extremely sharp edge. Specimens reach larger size than normal for land-dwelling arthropods at 40 centimeters tall and as large as 60 centimeters across. Specimens of SCP-098 prefer an environment of steady concealment and shallow pools of water. They are able to breathe both water and air, splitting their time between two environments. They are also capable of vocalizations using a larynx-like structure attached to primitive lungs. SCP-098 demonstrates pack hunting behavior when attacking prey. When specimens detect a prey animal, they will attempt to surround that. They will mimic the sounds made by the creature, apparently to confuse or to draw it into position. When ready, one specimen will approach the prey animal. When its attention is fixed on the first specimen, others will move behind the prey and attempt to cut the tendons of the leg or other limbs. They will continue to mimic the sounds the prey animal makes to disorient. After making a cut, a specimen of SCP-098 will spit a vicious mucus over the wound. This substance hardens rapidly, preventing blood loss or fraction. This continues until the prey animal is completely immobilized. At this point, specimens will again feed on the prey animal by cutting off small pieces of flesh. This begins with soft, readily accessible tissue, such as those of the face and extremities, before moving to other parts of the body. Some specimens of SCP-099 will only feed so long as the prey animal is capable of respiration. Feeding can last several hours or several days, depending on the size of the prey animal and on the number of specimens present. Specimens of SCP-098 show some ability to communicate, alerting each other to the presence of threats or potential food over short distances. It was initially thought that SCP-099 might display human-level intelligence, but now believed to merely parrot human speech. SCP-098 normally poses little threat to adult humans, preferring small prey such as dogs, cats, and small pigs. However, they have attacked a larger prey when a sufficient number of specimens were present or else other food was unavailable. SCP-098 was discovered in Brazil after a rash of child disappearance. This is Addendum 098-1. SCP-098 is more hello new person to the strain. SCP-098 is more intelligent than previously thought. They adapt quickly to change in their environment and have shown an ability to remember patterns such as feeding and cleaning, having the habitual movement of personnel entering their enclosure. The cleaning personnel must ensure that they regularly vary their routes through the enclosure to prevent incidents. Dr. Mann has taught several of them simple tricks, and they seem to understand the meanings of several commands. Testing will continue. Item number SCP-099, Object Class Safe, Roll Containment Procedure. SCP-099 is the Captain of 1 meter by 75 centimeters, wall-mounted fireproof case in Gallery 27. Standard climate and humidity controls apply to this section of the gallery. Due to its property, SCP-099 can only be viewed in the gallery by level 2 staff or higher, and only from a distance greater than 5 feet and for a period not to exceed 5 minutes per day. When not being viewed, the cases remain shut and electronically locked. Description: SCP-099 is a 73 by 50 centimeter painting titled The Portrait, created in 1935 by surrealist painter Jean Magritte. The original painting possesses mimetic properties that trigger acute paranoia and lingering psychological effects when viewed for too long or from a distance of approximately 3 meters or less. The painting depicts a simple still life with the addition of a single eye staring back at the viewer. A reproduction of the work currently handled in the Museum of Modern Art in New York, with critical elements removed to prevent the paranoia trigger. For a detailed description of the changes, refer to document 099-B. Detailed reproductions and photographs of the original work retain its mimetic properties. Those who have viewed the painting for too long or from too close a distance become subject to the delusion that any being or depiction of a being with eyes is staring at them. In extreme cases, subjects report the inanimate objects and making eye contact. This condition is so severe that subjects will even report making eye contact with individuals whose heads are completely turned away, depending on the length of the original exposure to the painting. Subjects may suffer from this condition until death, resulting in severe paranoia and inoculophobia. Addendum: SCP-099 was recovered from the private collection of K. Sage, another surrealist painter. The recovery was performed by by MTF-86 Pink Panther. Mrs. Sage was unaware of the recovery and replacement of SCP-099. Although pre-recovery investigation suggests he was aware of its properties and was either immune or careful not to look too closely. Magritte was still alive at the time of SCP-099 was stored in Gallery 27. He remained under Foundation surveillance until his death in 1967. Research suggests the painting's mimetic trigger was intentionally created, although the effect and power of the trigger was likely unintentional. The Foundation studied the rest of Magritte's work and found no anomalous mimetic properties to this date. Weaponized replication. Data expunged. Item number SCP-100, Object Class Euclid, Barrel Containment Procedure. SCP-100 have 6 guards patrolling the interior of the perimeter's fencing and 2 guards dedicated to the monitoring of the interior and exterior of both warehouses with the residential building, with rotations to occur every 3 hours. Any unauthorized personnel found within SCP-100 are to be detained for questioning prior to amnesty, administration, and release. 3 guards are to remain within the storefront of SCP-100 with the rotations to occur every 8 hours. The storefront entrances to remain locked at all times with keys provided to necessary personnel. now private property and no trespassing signs are to be posted on the storefront to deterring drivers from stopping at SCP-0100. Any construct SCP-0100-1 created to be removed from SCP-0100 and melted down into slag, with the exception of SCP-0100-2-A and SCP-0100-2-B. Should SCP-0100-1 become uncooperative, SCP-0100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B may be removed from SCP-100 until the time that SCP-0100-1 becomes cooperative again. The largest of the two warehouses within SCP-100 has been converted into a basic research facility. All objects created by SCP-100-1, excluding SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B, may be used for research purposes. Testing on SCP-100-1 itself may only be conducted with written permission from the acting head researcher. The description: SCP-100 is an abandoned scrapyard 80 kilometers from Beep, South Carolina, known as Jamaican Joe's Junkyard Jubilee. The scrapyard covers roughly 5,000 square meters of fenced-off land consisting of 2 warehouses, a storefront, and a small residential building, as well as neglected land and land used for storage. SCP-100 holds roughly 1,500 vehicles, both pressed and unpressed, as well as roughly 1,400 kilograms of separate scrap, estimated to be worth 5,000 pounds. Oh yeah, and in year 3,870 year old. The SCP-100's anomalous fact manifests through SCP-100-1 and its construct, including SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B. Autonomy is lost when SCP-100-1 and one of its sub. What was I?
Also, you speak to me, Emma?
No, it's fine. So I just looked over at you for a second and now I've lost my. Autonomy is lost when SCP-100-1 or one of its objects cross the fence perimeter of SCP-100, remaining in the state until reintroduction. SCP-100 is not -1 is an autonomous sapient humanoid construct consisting mostly of copper piping and insulated copper wiring and aluminium cans. SCP-100-1 lacks the ability for written or verbal communication. However, it possesses the ability to communicate using rudimentary sign language. SCP-100-1 is largely uninterested in conversation outside of sales, and information gathered from it has been limited. SCP-100-1 appears to possess skill in craftsmanship, demonstrating the ability to operate tools such as arc welders, drills, and power tools, as well as heavy machinery such as car compressors and forklifts. SCP-100-1 possesses the ability to create autonomous constructs similar to itself, using material available within SCP-100. SCP-100-1 tends to create 4 specific animals, iguanas, crocodiles, turtles, and flamingos. However, SCP-100-1 has been known to craft other species, such as domestic pets. To maintain compliance, SCP-100-1 has been allowed to keep 2 objects labeled SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B. SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B are constructs superficially resembling insects assumed to be created by SCP-100 as they have occupied SCP-100 since the initial discovery of SCP-100. The names Raymond and Beatrice are welded into the backs of SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B respectively. They appear to operate as well companions as well as guards for SCP-100 as they patrol the perimeter of SCP-100, except during intervals of interaction with SCP-100-1. SCP-100-1 appears to follow a ritualistic schedule, repeating the same actions daily. From 0800 to 1500, SCP-100-1 enters the storefront of SCP-100, seeing itself behind a counter and attempting to bargain with any humans within the storefront. Occasionally, SCP-100-1 will attempt to scrap the yard prematurely for reasons unknown. So, from 1500 to 1600, SCP-100-1 interact with SCP-0100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B, communicating using vague hand and arm gestures. Interaction tends to consist of grooming, repair, and activities resembling fetch and hide and seek. From 1600 to 2000, SCP-100-1 performs various tasks, including taking stock of material within SCP's 100. Oh no, I've lost where I was. performs various tasks, including taking stock of material with an SCP-100, cleaning and maintaining tools and heavy machinery, and cleaning the interiors and exteriors of the building present with an SCP-100 from 2000 to 00 to 0. 0000. SCP-100-1 performs what is assumed to be leisurely acts ranging from creating new constructs, interacting with SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B, and patrolling SCP-100 from 000 to 0800. SCP-001 enters the residential building where it remains seated at a desk for the duration of this time. In the event that the theme enters the storefront of SCP-100 during the interval of time SCP-100 to SCP-00, SCP-100-1 will attempt to bargain with them using a variety of gestures to convey meaning. Most attempts by SCP-100-1 to sell scrap figures of its own creation or repair services. However, it has been known to purchase scrap. Despite SCP-100-1's inability to read, it possesses the ability to perform basic mathematics as demonstrated by sales. Sales made by SCP-100-1 are typically met with some degree of unfairness. SCP-100-1 has been known to intentionally use faulty sales and contaminate scrap piles with cheaper metals, and has demonstrated knowledge of the area of effect within SCP-100. SCP-100-1 was sold to conflict repeatedly despite the loss of autonomy when exiting SCP-100. Efforts to confront SCP-100-1 about this have been met with distress and indifference, with a referral to a signpost on the wall reading "No refunds more happening," regardless of SCP-100-1's emotional response. So SCP-100 was discovered on 11/09/76, following reports of strange machines operating from within the scrapyard. These rumors were discovered, discredited, examined, and the Foundation agent was sent to SCP-100 to act as the landowner until containment was performed under the guise of property sale. A wooden privacy fence was built along the former perimeter of SCP-100, and one-way windows were installed on the floor. So a highway now running through the nearby town of Beep redirects the majority of civilian traffic. Then on 100-A, records show the property owned by one Joseph Duval, with the mailing address sharing the same name. Local utility companies report billing has stopped for approximately 3 months before the discovery of SCP-100. It was found abandoned, save for SCP-100-1, SCP-100-2-A, SCP-100-2-B, and several avian and canine figures presumed to be made by SCP-100-1. The initial sleeve of the building revealed the residential building to be mostly bare, with the only sign of former occupants being a note being found taped to the door of the storefront. See document 100-A. Incident 100-A. On 06/03/05, SCP-100-1 created a humanoid autonomous construct 10 centimeters in height. The first time SCP-100-1 is done, so significant effort was put into this construct compared to the others, with greater detail compared to the construct, including facial features and JJ welded into the back of the construct, and stainless steel making up the majority of the construct. SCP-100-1 placed the construct on the counter form of the storefront for the majority of for the duration of the schedule, until using vague gestures to seemingly communicate with one another. Following the confiscation of this construct, SCP-100-1 remained seated within the residential building of SCP-100 for a total of 10 days. Document 100-A. The following is a copy of the note recovered upon the discovery of SCP-100. Out to lunch. Please see Assistant JJ. I can hear the clattering of dinner material, so I assume dinner is coming. I'm very sorry. I really do want to read more SCPs, but 100 seems like a good place to end.